On this week's episode of Friend Code, we're looking back at Nintendo's 2020 year in review. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Friend Code. I'm your host, Michael Damiani. This week, I'm joined by Ian Hink and Daniel Bloodworth.
Hi.
How's it
Hello.
going? Hi.
Good.
Having a good time with your next gen stuff so far? A month into next gen. How is it going?
I've beaten Demon Souls a couple times.
A couple times.
Well, and I did one, and then I'm in halfway through New Game Plus, and then I went and started a new character to do that hilarious broken luck sword thing because I just wanted to see what it was like. And so now I have a sword that one shots literally everything.
Oh wow.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I finished up Demon Souls and then played through Twin Mirror, which I'm working on my shot log and footage and review today, which is the first thing that I did. First game that I fully played through on my new graphics card, new PC. And then we can finally say that I'm attempting to play Cyberpunk, but it was like yesterday was my birthday, and I was hoping to just spend the whole day playing Cyberpunk, and I didn't touch it for a second. I didn't get in there.
Why not?
3 hours worth of phone calls and review stuff, and I don't even know what else. Just recording the Cyberpunk impressions. There's a lot of stuff.
Cyberpunk, a game that just about to come out, a very highly anticipated game, but also one of the many games affected by the events of 2020 and more, obviously, but the COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously, when you look back at 2020, like we're about to, when it comes to Nintendo, I don't think there was anyone who was spared this. Everyone was affected in some way at this, which is interesting because I looked back at my 2020 prediction episode. I was taking notes for that in preparation for this episode, and how optimistic I was about all these games that were going to come out in 2020. I was like, yeah, we're going to see Bayonetta 3, Breath of the Wild sequels coming out. There's so much, we're getting Mario Odyssey 2.
Yeah, you've been talking about Mario Odyssey 2 for
no, I will never let it go. It must happen. But unfortunately, things did only went according to schedule for first roughly 2 or so months into the year. And the year was an interesting one. I would say there was a lot more that happened. As I was going through the stuff, there was a lot more that happened than I even remembered. It was kind of surprising to see, that happened this year, because even remembering the time before the pandemic feels so long ago, doesn't it? It's so hard to remember. But I want to kick it off because one of the first things that happened this year is actually very relevant to things going on right now in regards to Smash Brothers in the esports scene. The year began with a statement from President Shintaro Furukawa made to Nikkei about Nintendo's involvement in the esports scenes and their stance on cash prizes. This is the statement: esports, in which players compete on a stage for prize money as an audience watches, demonstrates one of the wonderful charms of video games. It's not that we're opposed to it, so that our games can be widely enjoyed by anyone regardless of experience, gender, or age. We want to be able to participate in a wide range of different events. Our strength, what differentiates us from other companies, is this worldview, not an amount of prize money.
Okay.
Aren't they doing all kinds of BS right now, though?
Yes. So this is
just horrible shitheads about everything.
Yeah. So at the end of the year, where we're now, Nintendo sent a cease and desist to the Big House. So in November of this year, Nintendo sent a cease and desist to Big House regarding a modification for an emulator. The modification is known as Slippy, which allows online play, pretty good online play for older games, including Super Smash Bros. Melee. So that is how they were doing an online tournament for Super Smash Bros. Melee, a game that does not inherently have online support. Nintendo didn't like that, sent cease and desist, and the Big House decided we're just going to shut it all down. and it's kind of spiraled from there. From Smash players, voicing they're just just being disgruntled about the situation in the years of this, spiraling into the most recent thing with Nintendo going after people selling controller Joy-Con shells for
Joy-Con
Etika,
skins, yeah.
to honor them, and Nintendo saying you can't do that either. So
And proceeds were going to charity,
yeah,
right? If
so
I
it's like
read
that,
correctly.
yeah. So I will say this is one of the bigger, maybe more
That
public
seems-
missteps.
They're doing all kinds of
How?
stuff.
I don't understand. Like, can a third party just make it? Is you're just talking about a shell? Like,
Well,
I don't understand.
I haven't dug into this one too much because
Okay.
it's pretty
Yeah, I don't
recent.
know
It's
much
pretty
about it.
recent, and this episode's about this. I will say my best guess I can give, correct us if we're wrong, is that you still have to license products, even if you're a third party maker. And I wonder if they just didn't get an official license to make third party accessories for Switch, and that's the whole rub about it. I'm not entirely sure, but regardless, it's not a good look for Nintendo to be going after something like that, and maybe just trying to work it out some way that allowed them to keep selling those Joy-Con shells. It's a little unfortunate.
I saw a meme that was like, "Oh, love this new Nintendo product." And it was like relive the nostalgia, and then it was like cease and desist classic,
Yep.
and it was like a box with a cease and desist in it. That was really funny.
Yeah,
I'm, like, sad.
There's been Nintendo with their crackdown on, they've had to fight. Well, as you'll see throughout the year, Animal Crossing, one of their biggest releases, people trying to sell stuff in that game for real money, items and bells and stuff like that, having to officially put out guidelines for how you could use Animal Crossing now, and down to their stuff with Twitch, forgetting to or accepting that everyone goes by the worldwide schedule of Pacific time. That's when things are allowed to be out and talked about. So when Hyrule Warriors was available in other territories early and people streamed them, they received 48-hour automatic bans from Twitch because Nintendo said you can't stream this till 9 p.m. Pacific time on release day. So just that type of stuff had been happening but it's not all bad. There have definitely been good things that have been happening too, but just to point out that there have been some rough spots as well, for sure.
Well, it's weird with this kind of stuff where it's like, okay, banning real money markets for Animal Crossing stuff, fine, I kind of get that, whatever, sure. But like stopping people from playing an old game that doesn't have multiplayer online in a creative way just because they love your game and want to play it, or that kind of stuff, I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why do you care? Stop. Like, people want to play a thing and you're not letting them. It's so weird.
Yeah, we talked about that on the podcast. I won't get any deeper into that. I feel like I understand where they're coming from on that one. The controller thing, I don't get.
That one is,
I don't understand what's going on there, but I have to look more into that story.
Yeah, I always find it funny about the controller thing because a thing they were embroiled in for most of this year and for years now, but it came to a head in this year, was the Joy-Con drift and the lawsuits.
Yeah,
and Furukawa actually having to officially offer an apology, but that's all they could offer in the way of that because there was ongoing litigation. And they apologized in June of this year for Joy-Con drift. So actually finally officially acknowledging it, that it's an issue. Though funnily enough, there was a report that their lawyers are arguing that there was no one was significantly impacted by Joy-Con drift and did not have a significant impact on your experience in game. I was like, oh sure, yeah, about that. Good luck with that.
Yeah, how do you define significant?
Yeah, I mean that's lawyers, man. They're about how do you define this? Let's find your loopholes.
I define it by the price tag on a pair of Joy-Cons, dude.
Yeah,
things aren't cheap.
They did lower the price of the individual ones to $39.99 at the start of the November, I believe. But aside from that, they're pricey things, pricey accessories. But whoo, Nintendo they like making that money, but. Yeah, that
sure do.
The beginning of the year started. That's funny how things early in the year come back and have a nice payoff. It's not just fiction that has these great writing. Sometimes existence has, its own twists and turns. But also in January, Hideki Kamiya from Platinum Games, lead director on Bayonetta 3, want to let everyone know development is progressing very smoothly. The game's been announced years ago, but we haven't seen it since. Just want to let everyone know it's going smoothly. That's all.
Nice.
Sakurai announced the Fighter Pass Volume 2 will include 6 new characters. We already knew there was going to be a second Fighter Pass, but revealed in January it would have 6 new characters. And also that was when we got the announcement of Byleth for Fire Emblem 3 Houses coming January.
Oh, wow.
That felt like that was not then. That felt like forever ago. But Byleth
that felt like last year for sure.
Year.
People were none too pleased.
Yep. That was I think is definitely influenced their decisions they've done since then in regards to Smash character announcements. A learning process for sure. But there was some controversy over that one for sure. Some dissatisfaction. A milestone for Switch. In January, it started the year at 52 million units worldwide. So I want to keep that number in mind as we go through the months.
Okay.
See how that number goes up.
Starting at 52 million.
All right, 52 million. Nintendo denies new model rumors, saying they have no plans to launch a new Switch model in 2020. Last year, Switch Pro rumors were heating up again after Switch Lite had come out. And it was just like, everyone's like, Switch Pro's got to happen this year. Nintendo denying it. As we know, no Switch Pro has come out as of December of this year, so it's probably not.
Game Awards is in a couple days, baby.
Maybe Game Awards. We'll
Game
have
Awards.
To see.
I don't think you can shadow drop a console anymore.
Hey, there's a first time for everything. Keely, baby.
Keely can find a way.
Keely wants that moment where he pulls it out of the pocket.
This one's for the pros.
Oh my gosh.
Pulls it out.
Here it is, the Switch Pro, exclusively on eBay.
And he gets to show it to Reggie. He's like, hey, Reggie, look what I've got. And you don't have it yet because you're not Nintendo.
But that would be a hilarious way. Like I am. It couldn't be Nintendo or Microsoft or anything, but it'd be a funny way for like some small company to try to like poke fun at this whole mess. Is just like they just create an eBay account, and that's the only place that you can.
That's the only way you can get them. The price goes up by $1 every hour.
Yeah, and all goes to charity.
Maybe Playdate will do that.
Maybe. Moving into February, first big announcement, our first major event was the Wonderful 101 Remastered was kickstarted. This was a game that everyone thought would be an obvious port
when it was almost finished
for Wii to Switch, but it, obviously the Kickstarter says coming to Switch, PS4, and PC on Steam. We found out that Nintendo actually told them they needed to do it themselves, that they actually didn't have an interest in just funding it to bring it out. So that's why that didn't remain a Nintendo exclusive. But I never really got to play that game. Everything I've seen about it, when I see people play it, it doesn't really speak to me. But I'm glad it was successful.
People seem to love it.
Yeah, there's definitely, and similarly, Damiani, like I think I played very little bit of it on the Wii U, but I haven't gotten to get into it in a way that really made me feel like I connected to it and resonates. But yeah, there's definitely like a fan base that was very, very hungry for this game.
I do agree with that. This also early in February marked the first time we hear about COVID-19 from Nintendo. Nintendo officially announces production delays for Switch hardware and Joy-Con accessories due to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is the start of them starting to say, hey, there might be some issues with some of our stuff in the coming year. So
right. Well, that's because it was affecting factories at that point.
Yeah, it was the Chinese factories. So their pipeline was being impacted by this, and they wanted to give everyone a heads up about this. So not software development or anything like that yet, but their hardware, as you would see, would be affected the earliest by this. SNES and NES catalog got some updates. We got a few games. People were wondering for a while, what was going on with the updates in this. There's several updates to the catalog throughout the year. This one was Pop and Twinbee, Smash Tennis, and Shadow of the Ninja. Pop and Twinbee and Smash Tennis for SNES, and Shadow of the Ninja and Eliminator Boat Duel for the NES. Never touched any of those games.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
All right.
Boat duels though. That
Boat
sounds
duel.
fun.
That
I
does
know. It's
sound
like I
fun.
kind of want to check
Gotta
out.
hop in there with
That
Don.
sounds like
Yeah.
yeah, or like a Hunting Huber episode if we
Yes.
Absolutely.
ever get like local.
I just forgot
Do
this
some
game
locals.
existed on there. Now I'm like, I really should boot this up and check this out, huh? Some sad news. Kazuhisa Hashimoto, the creator of the Konami Code, passed away at the age of 61 in February. Konami Code, popular mainstay from the NES days. A lot of people use that to get past some of the harder games. Contra is
I'm surprised that they have tracked that down and actually released the information of who created that.
Especially given Konami's early days, like the Castlevania developers, we still don't know the entire development team behind the original NES original version of Castlevania. So this was a nice thing that they were able to figure out, and that we now have this information to pass along so people know where it originated from for sure. But rest in peace. Hideki Kamiya once again says development on Bayonetta 3 is going well to Famitsu. February 2000.
Good.
So Bayonetta 3 is still coming along well. All right.
Good.
March. So we get into some serious stuff here in March, unfortunately. This is where shit hits the fan, everyone. Nintendo of America begins allowing employees to work from home due to COVID-19 pandemic. They made that announcement, which was right on the heels of the ESA announcing E3 was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's kind of like a 1-2 shot there. And shortly after that, Nintendo said that they saw large industry events as being largely untenable for the foreseeable future, indicating they would probably not be attending any major conventions until COVID-19 was under control. So that was the start of, those companies started to do that. I know in regards to Sony made the big announcement about not going to GDC. And then more and more companies started to pull out of events, from March onwards because of this.
Yeah, PAX East, I think, was the first big one for Sony that people were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But yeah. GDC was right before that.
Yeah, it was. That's what it was. Yeah. PAX East. Sorry.
And we had to cancel our year event. I think we did that in February, maybe. Because I remember for us, it felt early. But then, a week later, everyone else canceled everything, and we were like, "Okay, good.
Eventually,
we made the right decision."
We were going to be forced to do it anyway. It was out of our hand.
Yeah.
When California issued its things, and the reality of this set in for Nintendo very, very quickly, because shortly after all these announcements, Nintendo reported that they had their first confirmed case of an employee testing positive for COVID-19. So, people who weren't, maybe taking it seriously, maybe slightly understandable. I think I was even guilty of are companies going to use this as an excuse? What is this really that bad? It's like, oh, it's bad. And by the end of March, it's like,
real bad.
It's bad. April was like,
right.
Yeah, wake up call. This is a shit show. But not all horrible news during COVID-19's onset here. During March, we also got the Lego Group and Nintendo announced the Lego Super Mario product line.
It's a crazy thing, yeah.
Yeah, the little toys.
Omar's got them.
Oh yeah,
Omar bought a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been putting out more too. They announced more later in the year
for sure.
Yeah,
I have not gotten.
He set it up. It's been sitting on our dining room table for months.
Was this interesting?
I've never seen him use it.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's one of the things. Whenever we can get back into the studio, if we can get our hands on one, I want to check it out because I just completely missed the boat. They sold out really fast though too. As you'll see, a lot of things that were in demand sold out very quickly in 2020. Nintendo released in March after a big delay Animal Crossing New Horizons. And it set records. Animal Crossing
still setting records.
It's still shattering records. I got some updates for you throughout the year, but Animal Crossing New Horizons, this pulled me back in. It'd been a long time since I'd been back into Animal Crossing, and I have to say I really enjoyed my time back with it and all the subsequent kind of seasonal updates they've done so far that I've dabbled into.
I love Animal Crossing. It's been a nice comfort this year for sure.
Yeah. Just something it's been slowing down for me, but especially those first couple months, man, it was definitely every day in there.
Oh yeah.
Working on the island, getting the bridges built, getting the inclines built.
Yes.
getting the new villagers, figuring out who I wanted to have in town, and just all the stuff, all the decorations, and
And
creative ideas, and getting together with people and doing events, and just it's so crazy how that game can both feel very small and very gigantic at the same time.
it
There's
was
just so much.
it was pretty obsessive, I think, at first, but when it came to turnip prices, man, that was the
Oh yeah.
biggest 180
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. When I was playing Animal Crossing for the first few weeks, I was so ignorant of turnip. I'm like, what is turnip stuff? What is this? I'm not even gonna mess with this. The moment I found out and got hooked on it, it was like the end. It was like end game. Like you're now inside.
Well, and what's really funny is like, and we're in a slightly nice position because we have people that would like tweet at us and be like, I got 680 on my island. Like, and we're like, all right, we'll be right there, But for me, it took that one big score, and I'm still a billionaire from that, like I'm still, I think I have like 3 million bells from like one haul that I made like 6 trips because I kept filling my pockets. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is it's just, once you've gotten your house paid off, then it's kind of like, that's it. That's like, you're done.
Yeah.
Unless you really want to like completely like re-landscape your whole island or move houses around or stuff like that, and then it's just like, you start stacking up cash after that.
They just added where you can increase your storage in your house, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna cost like 4 million bells or some weird thing, but it was only like 50K or 100K or something.
Yeah.
It was like not. I was like, that's walking around money with all these bells.
I think it was like 500K or something, because I remember
yeah.
it was more than like
It was
the
not.
wallet
It was
would
not
fit.
nothing. Yeah, but it was definitely. I had it, thankfully.
Yeah. But I think, the other thing that was kind of funny about the turnip prices is it felt entirely ignorant of the internet in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Because
They did
not
it did
anticipate.
anything to show you the limitations of the online setup for Animal Crossing, it was
Oof.
turnips. Because people would just constantly, open up and have people coming into town, and every time waiting for that thing to load and watching those cutscenes, and just like, it's cool if you're going to have a few friends over and you're going to hang out for a couple of hours. It is not good for a quick stopover.
No. Well, and that's the thing that I think we'll find in 2021 when we do our GOTYs. Like, I think that the interplay, the online interplay, and the menus and the repetitive sort of quality of life problems are really going to be a hindrance to this game. Those are the things they need to update. But
Yeah.
good game though.
It's interesting how, you never know what a community is going to do with a game that has these online features, and how normalized like going to websites to look up stock prices for your turnips, like the stock exchange, and then the long lines and time windows, people like having schedules, like it was, and then like the vernacular, like having to learn like the shorthand abbreviation for like Nook Mile tickets, NMTs, like accepting 2 NMTs or whatever.
Oh yeah,
all those
Yeah,
like the
Nook is on.
that's the dark side.
the dark.
My girlfriend does that all the time. Like, she'll trade stuff on Nookazon with people for like Nook Mile tickets, and I'm like, what do people want with these Nook Mile tickets? They're useless. Like, unless you're trying to get a new villager.
Yep, they want specific villagers. Man, this like whole weird meta that was crafted around this was just very intriguing to watch it unfold, and completely not intended by Nintendo.
But that's the stuff I love, where
Yeah.
it's like, where it's just like, this has become its own thing, and it's evolved in ways that no one could anticipate.
I feel like, as you said, the quality of life updates, they're not happening fast enough, or Nintendo's just ignoring too many of them.
Or ever.
Yeah. This is
I
kind of
feel
their
like some
biggest
of that
problem.
stuff just isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
They're just not going to do it. Yeah.
for sure. I
They're
agree with that.
Nintendo. They're stubborn.
Making a lot of money on it, and people still love it. I think people will put up with some of that stuff because it's everyone else is playing it, the whole FOMO behind it. You just want to be a part of it while it's relevant. So
That's kind of part of Nintendo's brand image on the whole, is like, a lot of the things they do are really annoying and like old timey and bad, but people just play it anyway and buy it anyway.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah,
so they never have to
it's
change.
such a different story if their games weren't actually good,
Right.
or at least had like a rich history. You know, if they were another company who were trying to do this, you'd be laughed out of business, I think. But
I'm
Right.
sure we'll talk
but
about
I mean,
it,
I think
but
that's
yeah,
I think it's a fair point though with Animal Crossing because uh like there is that quality to it. There is that nature that keeps you playing and keeps you coming back despite the, you know, the annoyances. And that's not just because, you know, of some kind of nostalgia factor or something. Like Ian's never played an Animal Crossing
I've never
before,
played
you
one
know?
before.
I'm guessing that you probably didn't even think you'd be that into it before you started playing
No.
this.
And I might be the most into this one. Like I'm playing it, I think, more regularly still than anybody.
I feel like it might have something to do with how its unique style of gameplay. Like how many games
Yeah.
really are out there that do what Animal Crossing is trying to do, and even for what it is, like we know we're kind of like railing on the quality of life, but it does still technically have good quality to it. Like it's a well-made game, you know, at its core. So I feel like that has a lot to do with it. It's just its draw. It does draw you into its world, and maybe like its slow-paced nature, they aren't the worst. Maybe some of those quality of life things are there to prevent it from becoming too fast-paced and people getting over it so quickly. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
conscious
I do
decision.
think for better or worse there is an element of that. Like they're trying to make you go slow and take your time. And like some of that is masking loads, some of it is just tedious, but I think it's definitely part of their design philosophy.
Yeah. Well, at least we're getting some more save support over time.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
was a big red flag at first with the fate of your island should things go wrong. But in the
Yeah, now you can like export villagers to other towns and things.
yeah, they're starting. They've gone in the right direction. It's not quite the full use the cloud to back up all your any of your saves like any other game, but you know it's better than Pokemon at least at this point where you can't even do that with Pokemon. So you
Yeah.
know they're on the right track with that. Moving on,
Slowly entering this century, Nintendo.
yeah, slow and
Yeah, I
steady.
mean, I think part of that too is just like I think Nintendo is super aware of their own uh the holes, the things that can be exploited and things if somebody puts their mind to it, you know,
Yeah.
and I think the evidence of that is like with Super Mario Club and Mario Odyssey. And when you look at like where they like hid coins around the Mario Odyssey levels, and you're just like, how did anybody ever get up here? I think that same level of rigor and testing happens for these games, and Nintendo's like, if you go online and we enable cloud saves, like we can do all kinds of stuff to break this game. So we're just going to turn that off.
Yeah, but on the other side, though, I'll say people still find a way to do that. People are finding a way to
Sure.
do hacked trees to give them all the items they wanted and then
Yeah.
selling them for real money in Animal Crossing specifically. And then we have like instances, I didn't bring it up in the later notes, but when uh, with Pokemon's was it Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC? People are putting in when Pokemon Home finally launched, which is in my notes in February. People were putting in hacked Pokemon to crash your system and like almost brick it and stuff. So people will do
Dude.
nefarious things no matter what. I think you should err on the side of letting people who want to play it, like want these features and then will enjoy it and are like the legitimate paying customers. It's going to happen no matter what. I know you shouldn't make it easier, but you should probably make it easier for people to have the things they want than harder for them. Like you should appeal to the bigger group in this instance. I feel is the right answer. It's not always the case,
Right.
but here I think it is.
I think that they always take the stance of like, at least they've said things that indicate this to me in the past, where it's like they're always trying to make sure like kids are going to be safe and can't like mistakenly do something. At
Right.
least I think. So
Or like what you're saying with Pokemon, you know, like I know that's something that slipped through, but I think that's the kind of thing that they're trying to prevent is that, you know, that a few bad actors that are trying to game the system don't screw it up for other people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
And when they get caught, it's easier for them to caught, easier for them to address, supposedly, as long as they fix those loopholes. The last thing I have for March, though, is Nintendo announced the first fighter A Fighter Pass Volume 2 for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate would be a character from ARMS and would release in June. Now, as we laughed at the Byleth announcement, this seems like a direct response to the criticisms leveraged against the actual announcement of Byleth, that Nintendo was being a little bit more, ear to the ground
Right.
about what the reaction would be and setting expectations as best as they can, because honestly, sometimes it seems like an impossible task for a company like Nintendo.
Yeah, I think even if it spoils a little bit of the fun, that definitely damage control to just be like, look, it's from ARMS. It's not, it's not Gordon Freeman. Stop freaking out, or whoever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We would find out who that character was in June. We'll be there very shortly. But moving into April, some more COVID stuff. I mean, April was like COVID in full swing, especially here in North America. Nintendo reiterated that Switch production is still affected by COVID-19 at the beginning of April. And in Japan, the CERO, the organization that CERO Ratings Board, announced they were closing for 1 month. And that impact could potentially delay the releases of games in the latter half of the year, since companies have to submit months in advance. So there was some concern that some Japanese releases and potentially international releases may be held up by that. Masahiro Sakurai announced that work on the Smash Brothers Fighter Pass Volume 2 would continue remotely due to COVID-19, that him and the team would no longer be working in the studio. Several times he's expressed his frustration at the pace of that progress because of them having to work like that. I know there have been stories from some Japanese companies that have had a bit of a learning curve to doing remote work, that their existing infrastructure in their corporate environments wasn't really made for that, especially companies like Nintendo, Square Enix, where secrecy is very high premium there. They don't want outside people getting access to networks. They had to rework and rethink while preserving those protocols. And I know some took longer than others. So yeah, the deal, companies starting to move away from working in offices, and then seeing that to start to trickle into software development now, not just the hardware pipeline being affected there. Rick May, the voice of Peppy and Andros in Star Fox 64, passed away from COVID-19 in April.
Oh man,
yeah,
I didn't know about that.
So we're starting to see some of that come in. And then Nintendo also had a data breach in April. They confirmed 160,000 Nintendo Network IDs, their NNID stuff, were legally accessed, and they officially decided just to remove the ability to use your Nintendo ID to log into stuff. That was like the big account change day where they decided, hey, if you're affected, you're going to be forced to do a password reset, but you're going to have to use you're going to have to log in through other means now. You can no longer use that. I remember back in the day having to use that, the little orange icon, the little N icon, using that, and it's like, no more. It is gone. So farewell to that. HAL Laboratory celebrated its 40th anniversary in April. 40 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And finally, we got the final update to Super Mario Maker 2 in April. The one that added world building mode and new course parts.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So looking back at it now, do you feel pretty satisfied with Super Mario Maker 2's support? Or do you wish they maybe would have gone a little bit further with some of it, Ian?
Yes to both. I'm surprised that they updated kind of at all. But then at the same time, I wish that there are a few things about the world mode that I wish were a little different, like being able to carry items from one level into another level, and more of like a traditional kind of Mario experience, like overworld experience like that. But all in all, I think it was really pretty. I mean, that game is just so jolly and fun and stuff. That may be the one that hurts me the most, that we haven't been able to do Don's Design Lab.
Yeah,
and,
right.
My course was the one on
able
deck.
To sit. I know, that episode's like almost done.
I'm so sad.
And just sitting next to Don on the couch making Mario Maker levels, it's nothing like it.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
So fun. It's really fun. I wanna jump ahead because it's Mario Maker related. Because I want to get your thoughts because it may have some indication about the future outlook of Super Mario Maker 2. Jumping ahead to November really quick. In middle of November, last month actually, Nintendo announced that Super Mario Maker will be removed from the original Super Mario Maker will be removed from the Wii U eShop on January 13th, 2021. And the ability to upload new courses will be disabled on March 31st, 2021. So you can no longer get Super Mario Maker off the eShop after January 13th of next year. And then just the ability to upload new courses. Existing courses still be, there's nothing about downloading existing courses. You still can do that. But the creation and uploading of new courses will no longer be possible in that game. So only, looking at that lifespan for that game, this is obviously going to be the fate. I mean, it's expected, but I feel like this might be happening a little sooner than expected. So I wonder if that gives you any pause for concern, Ian, about Super Mario Maker 2.
Not really. I mean, to me, it's the fate of things. And I think that if it is happening sooner than one might have expected, it's because it was the Wii U. And the kind of ostensibly the failure of the Wii U. And I'd be interested to see numbers of how many players this affects, because it might not even be that many people. Who knows? But yeah, it I think would for sure not happen quite as quickly on the Switch, especially if they take more of a Microsoft model and Switch Pro is the thing, and then that'll only increase the longevity of Switch games. So
yeah, I think that the Wii U's install base has a lot to do with that. I think what I am surprised though is that the announcement to the shutdown is so quick, because I feel like a lot of times when Nintendo will make an announcement on this kind of thing, it's like, okay, you've got a year,
right?
4 months, not that long.
Yeah. And to remind everyone, the original Super Mario Maker came out on Wii U on September 10th, 2015. So this will be just under 6 years. The core service of it will be turned off, and just under 6 years that it's no longer available for purchase on eShop. And I believe they're not making any more physical copies. So it's like whatever out there is in the wild is what you can get for that game.
Super Mario Maker 1 was the reason that Omar got a Wii U.
Oh,
because we wanted to play that, and so that was the
system seller.
We didn't
for
have
you.
one, and then he bought one. Yep.
Makes me wonder if they have any plans to just bring Super Mario Maker 1's content to Switch somehow or something like that, because that was what we thought for the longest time. Maybe it would just be a strict port. But
they have said that latest update for 2 was the final update. They said that, so which I thought was weird. I'm like, why say that? I guess just to be like, we're done.
Us, Ian. Super Mario Maker Ultimate.
Oh my God, Super Mario Maker. Super Mario Maker EX.
Yeah. We'll see. This will not be the last of the Maker series for sure. There will be something coming down the line at some point.
Give me that Metroid Maker, baby.
Oh my gosh, yes. I want that, or Freaking Zelda.
Super Metroid Maker.
I've seen the arguments against it. We did a whole episode. I remember we talked about it, but I don't want to. We don't need. Don had some good reasons, but don't want to get.
I don't want to sound not diplomatic, but if you are against Super Metroid Maker, you can eat butts.
There you go. Seal of approval right there. Moving into May, that was when beginning of May was when we had that major Nintendo leak of all that source code stuff, where you got all that N64 stuff that came out, where everyone's finding all these old prototypes and found Luigi stuff and all that good stuff. That was when it came out, and just a bunch of that was the more interesting stuff. The stuff that how it was obtained, obviously not legally, and obviously the stuff that might have aided in emulation coding. Obviously, staying away from that was probably a smart decision for most of the emulator makers. That's grounds for you getting a nice visit from the Nintendo Ninja lawyers. But it's still nice to see the hit Easter eggy stuff, like this is what could have been, or this was what was planned for something. I love those types of leaks about things like game development tidbits that would never have otherwise been known. When I say nether, not never, Man, don't know why I had NetherRealm on my mind for some reason. No Mortal Kombat in this update. But yeah, there's just some cool stuff in there. I don't know if
I
any of that
definitely
caught your
like-
attention.
I definitely like old leaks of older things like that. Like you said, like Easter egg type stuff. Rather than being like spoiled on what Ubisoft's next game is about, or what,
Right.
you know.
Yes,
just more fun.
I'm like that. I'm only in favor of leaks that reveal knowledge that would otherwise previously be not known. So about something that we never saw about the game or what its direction it could have been in, or a cancel game. Love cancel game leaks, like perfect. Or
Yeah.
something exposing something, like exposing workplace issues or things of that nature. Ones that
Yeah.
spoil the existence of a game, especially an upcoming game, for the sake of its existence. If it's not, and that's the only reason, I don't like those leaks. Those are not the type of leaks I kind of support.
Yeah.
But yeah, this leak also we found out why, like, the feather in Super Mario World, why it's the thing that makes Mario fly, because originally it was Mario supposed to be a Birdman when he got the feather. I think I told you this, Ian, at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I think
like
you
cool
did,
stuff
yeah.
like that was just really neat to learn, and it was a really nice day to see all that trickle. It's sad when they were like, "We're near the end. There's really nothing else." I'm like, "No, I want more."
It's funny how, like, as a kid, I just accepted that stuff. I was like, yeah, it's a feather. It makes him fly.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, it's a raccoon tail. It makes him do this. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's weird video
thinking
game
about it
logic.
now, I'm like, oh, wait.
The raccoon tail, I don't think ever made sense to me. Yeah. And then,
Well, yeah,
of course,
I didn't know about
Tanuki
Tanukis,
statue
yeah.
was like, what? What is this?
I didn't know about that at all
Love
until
that
like
stuff.
a few
Just
years
seemed
back.
like some bizarre Mario thing.
Yeah.
Nintendo gave an additional update in May about going into a little bit more details about how COVID-19 is impacting its business. This is the first instance that they actually suggested that some future projects could be delayed potentially, but that nothing existing was delayed as of yet.
Hmm.
We got
But
our
they hadn't announced much at that point.
yeah.
either.
That's the
Right.
thing.
This
It's
weird
always the
black hole
caveat.
of-
That's the catch.
It's always been announced.
Games that didn't have release dates.
Mhm.
Your games can't be late if you never announce them.
We got our Q4 fiscal year 2020 update. So this would have been through March, March of the March 31st. Switch surpassed 55 million units sold. Animal Crossing crossed 13 million in just 6 weeks, and Nintendo officially says Switch is in the middle of its lifespan. So if you remember at the beginning of the year, we were at 52 million. As of the end of December, they were at 52 million. So they'd sold 3 million Switches in the worldwide in the first three. Apparently, between fiscal year quarter 3 to quarter 4 of their fiscal year. So it went up by 3 million. A decent amount. They always are targeting a certain amount every year. So 3 million in a quarter, multiply that 4, well, 12 million. Yeah, they'll sell like 12 million a year, maybe, if they hold up that average. We'll have to see. Then we get into Nintendo's new strategy for how they're dealing with announcing games amidst COVID-19. Middle of May is when we got the Shadow Drop announcement of Paper Mario, the Origami King, through Twitter, social media, basically. No announced direct. No pomp and circumstance ahead of time. It was just, here's a trailer, here's some details on social media, and then the press release via email. There you go. It's coming out. It's coming out in July. Look forward to it. We'll have more details. Kind of cute.
That's not a shadow drop. I was like trying to figure out, like, wait, that was
They
not a
just-
shadow
out
drop.
of nowhere.
They didn't say they were doing a direct or anything.
This is
Right.
the first time a game, I think, of this caliber. I mean, you don't have to call this a AAA game, but I still think it's a big deal that had no heads up whatsoever.
Right.
Like it wasn't a direct. This is also broke from that's not part of a direct. It's an isolated individual game announcement and only focusing on this. And I'm curious, looking back at it now, what they've done, how you feel about that.
It definitely. It was. I remember at the time we were like, a little warning would have been nice, so we could have like reacted to it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think it just kind of goes into like an overall that we'll get into, just like their strategy for announcing things. It just feels kind of random and scattershot, and so it's hard to know what's going to come up, what's going to be worth tuning into, and they'll have an event one day and not say anything about some other game, and then a week later, like, hey, guess what? Here's the trailer. I'm like, where was this at the event last week?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then them doing their own things. Them doing their own things is probably the weirdest bit of it, and then essentially like keeping themselves out of all these other directs where they just focused on indies or focused on bigger third parties, and just them doing all of these different formats, Treehouse stuff from home and all that.
Yeah, we'll get into more. Yeah, we'll get into more of that with their evolving strategy. I'll have a question at the end about it. Do you think this is going to be here to stay or not? We'll get to that later. But this marked the beginning of it, and I think it was interesting because the one thing I'll add is that Nintendo seemed to be going in the direction of we don't like announcing games too soon. It's better to announce them when they're close to finish, and this kind of fell in line with it because announced only roughly 2 months before its final release. And it seemed to work out pretty well in the end, honestly, for them. As you'll see, Paper Mario ended up performing very well. Also, it's partly due to how well the Switch is doing, but hey, they read the room there, and I think they did the right thing with that at least. But yeah, from a practical standpoint, as people cover this, kind of made things a little. I agree, made things way more hectic. I've always been kind of like complaining about that throughout the.
But at the same time, it is there is sort of that refreshing aspect of it, like again going back to like looking at how everything's gone with Cyberpunk, to where that was announced like 7 or 8 years ago, and like it'll be out when it's ready, and like now it's about to come out, and is like, is it ready?
It's never going to be ready.
Never ready. Right. Keep patching it.
But whereas Nintendo, it sort of feels like they didn't announce Paper Mario: The Origami King existed until it's like, hey, it's basically done. We're going to put it out in 2 months. As far as I know, people weren't talking about that game being buggy or anything. The game was what it was.
I've long been on record as that's my preference. Like what what Capcom does has been doing with Resident Evil and stuff, starting with, was it Resident Evil 2? Or Resident Evil 7, yeah, when they announced it and they're like, yeah, it comes out in 6 months. And I really appreciate that. Like 6 months I feel like is a good, like a good marker to hit of like you have a reasonable expectation that you can hit a date, like if you're saying your game comes out in 6 months, you should be 2 or 3 months away from finishing it, I think. And yeah, give yourself that window. Yeah. And so if Nintendo starts doing that, keeps doing that, I would love that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think it's a little bit more responsible of the company to do it that way. NES and SNES online catalog got an update in May. We got Wild Guns, Panel de Pon, Operation Logic Bomb for SNES, and Rygar for NES. Any of those ring a bell or anything like that? No.
Didn't play any of them.
Yeah.
Panel de Pon is Tetris Attack, I believe, right? And like Pokemon Puzzle League. So yeah, not one that I've been into, but I definitely believe that there's a following there. And then Rygar is one that I vaguely remember from playing as a kid, but I didn't pick it back up.
Wild Guns is the only one. I know about Rygar, and I know if it's like subsequent releases, but I didn't really play Rygar. But Wild Guns was the one.
For a second, I was like Wild Arms, and I was like,
not Wild Arms, Wild Guns. Yeah. Pac-Man celebrated its 40th anniversary in May of this year. Hideki Kamiya denies Bayonetta 3 is canceled. Says they are still hard at work on it.
Good. Okay, good.
The most recent update. Data miners believe they found evidence of a Nintendo exclusive skin in Fortnite back in May, finding some code references to it. Yeah.
Nintendo exclusive is interesting. So it's only in the Switch code?
I didn't put that note down. I'm
okay.
Maybe. I would guess it's either in the Switch version. Yeah. Yeah, it'd have to be for this one. It'd have to be in the Switch version. Nintendo would not allow their skin to be in other versions. It's got to be.
It's just funny because I saw people taking screenshots of Kratos on Switch.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe that's Fortnite's demand. It's like you can have one of your Nintendo characters here and you get a cut of some of the money, whatever, but it's
But
gonna
you're
be
getting
on
Kratos.
it's gonna be on every platform. You need to allow it to.
Right.
We don't make console exclusive or platform exclusive content like skins. We're not doing that. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe it's a big enough deal that Epic will say yes. We'll see. I mean, I said there's rumors abound right now that there potentially is a Nintendo skin that will be making an appearance in Fortnite in the near future. We'll see.
A man in a Pikachu suit.
Man in the Pikachu.
I wouldn't be surprised. What's funny with that is like, it's like whatever the opposite of a rock and a hard place is. It's like, how much money would Epic be willing to pay, versus how much money would Nintendo demand for a skin to be on everything? And like both of those numbers would be astronomical. So who knows what's happening?
For sure. Finally, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered got a new release date, August 27th. That had been delayed indefinitely earlier, and finally getting a release. I know it's multi-platform, but that game, had its origins on the GameCube, so a lot of Nintendo fans were wondering the fate of that game.
Yeah, it was originally slated for like January, I think.
Yeah.
Before the main delay.
Yeah, as we saw, there were definitely signs early that there might have been some problems with that game. Shortly after this announcement, we would find out there would be any kind of local multiplayer whatsoever, which also, raised some red flags about, having to play online.
Which in some ways makes sense, but yeah, they'd have to have really reworked the game a lot, which now we know that they should have.
Yeah. For sure. I'm sad. I really wanted to play it, but all the stuff you told me about, I'm like, I'm not touching this game. Sorry.
I saw like 10 minutes of that stream and then I had to like bounce, and I was just like, this looks horrible.
Yeah, not good.
Buy that soundtrack though.
Oh,
Ah.
I got it on.
Very,
I got on,
very
I
good.
think I have it on Spotify. Yeah. Moving into June. Funny.
Don't you have everything on Spotify?
I mean, I think so. I'm new to Spotify, by the way.
Oh,
I'm just
okay,
jumping
okay.
in, and it's still learning the ropes about how actually all it works and stuff.
Welcome aboard
Yeah.
the pure evil branch of the music industry.
Oh, should I bail now before I'm too?
I'm
should I go
pretty
back to
much-
just listen to everything on YouTube again?
Probably worse.
Probably worse. Okay.
Probably worse.
Okay, so there's not as much stuff there, but Bandcamp is a pretty good compromise because a lot of times you can, play a lot of
Pay
whole
directly.
albums
Okay.
free, and then when you pay something, not only is it usually go directly to the artist, but you can like name your price. So if like they say that's like $8, and like this is worth more than $8, you can give them $15. It's like whatever.
Nice. Yeah, I knew that about
As an
Bandcamp.
artist on Bandcamp, they say it's really interesting. They're like, you'll see the most bang for your buck if you make it $7, because it's cheap enough that you'll get more sales, but also people will do what Bloodworth just said and say like, well, it's worth more than that.
Nice.
People have sent me enough game soundtrack vinyls now where I'm starting to think about getting a record player. And then I could support artists I really like by buying their vinyls.
Nice.
Plus I am that hipster bitch, so I might as well just do it. Might as well just live my truth,
There are definitely some smaller like video game artists who make like video game remixes or albums with video game samples that I do follow and have supported on Bandcamp. I wouldn't think like more of the mainstream stuff would be there. I guess that's part of the reason.
Assassin's Creed is on there. Austin Wintory's got all the stuff.
Yeah,
on there.
I mean, I maybe need to look a little bit more closely, but yeah, I was just getting frustrated with YouTube and stuff. I was like, this is not the real way to be doing it. I should be doing it a different way. But
YouTube Music is interesting because
I-
it mixes what used to be Google Music and YouTube
yeah,
offerings.
it frustrated me. I bailed from that for sure.
Yeah, I don't
I accidentally
know
have
much
it.
about YouTube Music except I've seen frustrated comments about
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
It's weird. I used to be all in on Google Music, and then they were like, we're canceling this. And so I went to Spotify, and then they were like, but there's YouTube Music. And so I have YouTube Music because I bought Google Music long enough ago that I grandfathered into YouTube Music and YouTube Premium. So it's pretty great. So I'm not going to cancel it. So
Yeah, I had the Amazon one because it was Prime, but it was only like not everything was available on it for free. And I was like, I'm not giving Bezos any more money. Go away. I'm paying for a subscription. If I'm gonna pay for something, I'll pay for somewhere else. Anyway, moving into June. Funny
we
thing.
digress.
Sakurai says he's scared to talk about what games he's playing publicly, as some take that as a hint about new Smash characters.
Oh no.
So he had to announce he doesn't want to really talk about it anymore because too many people blow it out of proportion. So poor Sakurai. Just not
Yeah, these poor guys.
No.
I constantly just get the impression that they're just so tired.
Yeah, Sakurai
yeah.
in particular.
He was constantly
And the
asked,
Bayonetta guy too.
yeah, he's constantly asked about what's next for Smash, and he's always said this year there are no plan. We're not even in the planning stages of a new Smash. Like, leave us alone,
Yeah,
please, please,
get outta
please,
here.
please. On a more serious front, the Pokemon Company and Nintendo finally in June addressed Black Lives Matter. They had remained largely silent on it. I think Pokemon Company had a gaffe
Hey,
with one of their tweets. There you go.
Got the shirt on.
That was interpreted as kind of mocking it and not doing the appropriate response.
the Pokemon Company did?
Yeah, there was some GIF they tweeted. I don't think it was about it, but the timing of it right around like George Floyd's murder, I think was
Oh wow.
yeah, there was like bad timing. I think was I don't remember it enough. But anyway,
I missed
finally,
that.
the
I didn't know about
Pokemon
that.
Company decided, hey, we're going to donate $100,000 to both Black Lives Matters and the NAACP. Nintendo just simply put out a statement in support. So I know Nintendo was like getting a little bit of heat because they were taking so long to say something one way or the other when both Sony and Microsoft, the two other big three, had already publicly shown support for Black Lives Matter. So that happened.
Yeah.
That feels like forever ago too. Geez, it's like this year. How many things happened in 2020?
It's been a hell of a year.
Yeah. Nintendo released Jump Rope Challenge for free, but announced it would only be available to the end of September. Though later they decided it would be available indefinitely because they just picked a random date to just not be available anymore. More weird Nintendo choices here.
Yeah, that game, I'm sure they've probably put out a little bit more on like the development of it, but it really just, it feels like something that somebody working from home and like couldn't get connected to a file server did in an afternoon.
Oh,
It's like you're just waiting around for like an upload or an export or something along those lines. I'm like, all right, crap, I've got to do something. So I put together Jump Rope Challenge.
I have no memory of Jump Rope Challenge.
I feel like I'm gonna try it at some point. When I saw it was like not going away, I'm like, I got all the time in the world. That's the problem you don't with this. Nintendo's gonna pull it someday. Watch. Nintendo stocks hit a 2-year high and began to near a 12-year high as demand for video games surged during COVID-19. I think this is the beginning of June is when we started to see like video game industry is, for better or worse, is actually in some aspects thriving because more people are forced to stay home, more people going online, more people want to play video games as they can't go out and do their other recreational activities. And Nintendo is definitely on the beneficiary end of that for sure. We also got a bunch of Pokemon announcements, but the only one that mattered in June was they announced a new Pokemon Snap for Switch, and Easy Allies missed it.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to what we were saying
Yep.
earlier about these rollouts, where it's like they did like 3 Pokemon things in a row or something, and it like, and Pokemon Snap was not part of one of the ones we ended up watching, and because of that, the nature of it, it's like, well, we know it exists, so there's no surprise to have.
Right.
For sure.
It's not seeing the thing that matters; it's finding out that it exists. So.
That was that was
That
so
said,
weird.
though, looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That let it cook for a while. We got plenty of time. Right after we announcing the release day, the day we announce we're going back into the studio, Nintendo. Perfect day.
We're coming back.
Perfect
We're
day.
coming back with
perfect day.
Pokemon
for
Snap.
that. Nintendo also gave another update saying that Switch production is actually starting to return to normal and should be back to fully normal by the summer. However, they now say that, they said that games that are due out in the current fiscal year are still on track. However, if COVID-19 gets worse and becomes prolonged, this is in June of this year, future titles may slip from their existing plans.
And again,
Right.
at that point, they only had like 4 things announced or something.
Yeah, so future
Well,
titles, they
and
didn't say
then-
announced. They said like just future titles.
Yeah.
There's that funny update with the Mario 3D All Stars,
Mm-hmm.
where they found out that like it was supposed to be out that
Yeah.
month, right?
Yeah. Oh, like what was it? Yeah, it was supposed to be announced in April and out in June or something. Yeah. That they left someone's tweet. It was someone. No, it was some territory's scheduled tweet that they forgot to.
Oh no.
They didn't change the wording on it. They just left it there, and this updated the date, so it went live on the correct date. But it originally referenced the announcement, but the announcement was in the wrong month. They got it wrong, so it was like, oh man, that's interesting. A little bit, yeah. I get to peek in to see some of those, but yeah, they're starting to finally concede that hey, there might be some delays coming, even if we're not publicly
Right.
talking about them. Maybe this is where your mind's. This is more, I think, for investors more than consumers at this point.
Yeah, I'm curious too, like which, like how the delayed release schedule ended up happening, and like, was everything sort of shifted back and like, hey, let's just release things, it's kind of like what we're talking about with Paper Mario. Like, let's just see when the game's ready to go, then we'll announce it and we'll put a date on it. Or was it like, hey, the big boys, we're not gonna be able to get these ready, so get these ports, like spread them out.
Right.
Yeah, as we'll see. Yeah, that there's evidence to support that might have been, the strategy they ultimately went with. Nintendo also unveiled the first fighter for Fighter Pass Volume 2. We knew it was an ARMS character. They said it would be revealed in June. They stayed true to that word. Min Min from ARMS joined Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as the first fighter on June 29th. Surprising that was ARMS, honestly. A game, I felt like the best time for that was probably closer to the beginning of Smash. Like, it should have been a character that was just included in the base roster, since
Sure.
ARMS is a new series that came out, that had just come out. And if you want, like, there had been stories about how like Shulk in Xenoblade helped boost the popularity of Xenoblade Chronicles, just because it's saying that it's Fire Emblem. Like, Fire Emblem's popularity because Marth and Roy were, and that's the original one. It's like, who's Marth and Roy? Like, for anyone outside Japan, like,
Right.
wait, what? So another instance of this. I mean, maybe they were like better late than never, but very great trailer for that reveal. That animation. The Captain Falcon eating the ramen there with Kirby and stuff like that. It was a really good effort, I thought, and a very interesting character with the independent arm. Like, it's amazing how much they cram from the experience of the game they're basing the character on into Smash's rule set and universe.
Yeah. Especially as we'll see later in the year with
Mhm.
Steve.
Mm-hmm.
We also got Nintendo admitting that while they think Nintendo Directs are extremely effective, something could possibly replace them. So, we're in the thick of COVID here, and as we'd see later in the year, they don't really do a traditional Direct for the rest of the year, but some other forms of Direct-like events do happen in their place. Whether or not they're here to stay or just a temporary solution remains to be seen. Also, end of June marked the time that Nintendo President Furukawa officially apologized for Joy-Con drift, but could not offer anything more than that because of pending litigation against Nintendo. Joy-Con drift. I forget. How many times have you been affected by it once or multiple times, if any?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I haven't been affected by Joy-Con drift. I have an issue that I've never sent in with the Joy-Con motion control on one of my original Joy-Cons,
Oh.
where the motion control doesn't track correctly. So it popped up when we were playing Ring Fit Adventure, and so if I
the group
moved
thing.
I remember that.
one direction, it worked. If I moved the other direction, it didn't work.
Yes, I remember this now. Holy
And then once
crap.
I got new Joy-Cons, I was able to test it out. And was like, yeah, I think even like wrote down that like, so see with this one, I can get this score, but with the old ones, I can't. Like, it just does, I can't get there. Register.
One of my launch Joy-Cons was the kind that the left one had really short range, because the antenna was blocked by the Joy-Con cage or whatever. So I had that, and I definitely bought new Joy-Cons
Yeah.
to remedy that.
I had to get a new set of Joy-Cons as well. my original gray ones that came with my launch Switch were no longer. Or it was not just that; it was also one of the shoulder buttons was inadvertently clicking without me hitting it, and it kept bringing up things I wasn't trying to do. So it was a combination of that plus that, and I was just getting a little really frustrating. So I had it happen with one set. The current set I have has been good so far, though I play mostly on my Switch Lite, and I haven't had any kind of issue with that so far.
I've had loads of problems where I thought, like, I was like, oh god, I've got Joy-Con drift, oh no, and then I realized that like my Pro controller was in my backpack and on and just like hard right and just like sketching it.
Oh, the
So,
good
yeah.
old Rogue controller activated. I've done that. Not like that, but I've borrowed controllers. When we were doing, was it not Wheel of Fortune? No, yeah, it was Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy for Stream Team. And I had to play as everybody because there was no real online play the way.
Yeah.
And I had 3 controllers. I had to borrow one from my roommate. I forgot to unsync it, and then next day I turned on tried to turn on my system. I turned on his PS4 in his room, and he was just like, woke him up like, what? I'm like, oops. Like, my bad. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Yeah, controllers, man, wireless. Gotta go wired sometimes. Moving to July, an NES, SNES online catalog update. Donkey Kong Country comes to
Nice.
Switch.
I played that.
On the SNES, along with Natsume Championship Wrestling, and then the Immortal for NES. I never really touched that one, but the box art looked pretty cool for it.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to the Immortal. I had it on NES, and I think it was one of those games where, like, as a kid, it was just like a little bit too advanced for me. You know, it's like, oh, these graphics look really great, but like I have no idea what I'm doing.
Gotta try that one out too, man. So many games. One day I will. The Lego NES set was announced in July. That cool replica NES, but the cartridge. That elaborate one. I think that was like the big one. I think a lot of that sold out really fast too. I think that's the one I lamented.
One I haven't even seen.
Yeah. I lamented not getting that one, but you never know. Just like the NES Classic, I missed out on that as well. You know. Oh well. There was some controversy over a statement made by producer Kensuke Tanabe regarding Paper Mario: The Origami King. Specifically stated that it's no longer allowed to modify or create new characters tied to the Mario universe, and also gave a specific example about no longer being able to do like individual features on Toads to make them look more unique, other than just like, you know, changing a few basic things. This led to the controversy over the originality in Paper Mario games. People who, despite the praise that Origami King got, there were some who lamented its departure from the more unique style of Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door in terms of cast, a rich, diverse cast of characters, and they've been moving away from that in the more recent entries. And now people thought they had their like smoking gun here about there it is. They're saying they can't do it. This is crap. Like, and people were trying to attribute it to Miyamoto. You know, this is a Miyamoto. People were trying to find out who made the decision, was like the big controversy, thinking that Miyamoto was like stonewalling creativity. And I guess it turned out that it was not the case. It did not come from Shigeru Miyamoto. And in fact, apparently the quote was like blown way out of proportion. It actually isn't. You know, if you actually played the game, you find out there is decent amount of, you know, originality put into some. I mean, yes, there are a lot of just recolored Toads, but they're also very unique looking Toads as well. But I would say it doesn't quite approach Thousand Year Door in any of the most unique characters in that game, but it certainly wasn't, you know, sterile in terms of they're really just going for the vanilla look essentially of the most of the cast in there.
Yeah, this one, and I still have never really like dug into it, but it always just smelled like some kind of misquote or mistranslation or just even misspeaking exactly like what they were trying to get across with that. Because it's just like, what do you mean? Like, it's just lockdown sheet for Super Mario Brothers characters.
Yeah. And honestly,
especially hard to believe. Well, I was just going to say it's especially hard to believe with the existence of like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's like, that's zany as hell. There's all kinds of crap going on.
Yeah, that's the great point, Ian, because there have been a lot of examples of people throwing back in the face of this quote, like, wait, but what about this? What about that? Like, what? It didn't exactly, you know, it didn't line up. with actual evidence out there. And I think people a
Yeah.
little bit too tunnel vision or laser focused on Paper Mario specifically. And honestly, I sympathize with people who want the older style of characters, but you got to be careful you don't approach the point where you have an axe to grind, where you're just like looking for anything to like, there you go, I got my ammunition. No, let's go.
Right.
And
Yeah, the gaming industry 2020 right there.
yeah. That was one of the more higher profile things I remember, because Paper Mario was just, people were trying to figure out about the battle system. Oh, it doesn't have experience points. I'm out. There's people just prejudging based on it not having this, or this. Kind of happened last year with Pokemon Sword and Shield with the whole, it's not gonna, they cut Pokemon and stuff. There's gonna be a trash game. There's been a pattern with this, but I mean, the old saying is like, I get it. You have to buy the game, but it's like, you should really play something before you go down that road and like heavily criticize it. Express disappointment they're not going that direction, but say the old saying, reserve your judgment until you've actually, played final judgment until you've played it, tried it out. So a little jump in the gun there. I think I'm with you a little bit blood on that people rush to conclusion on that. But what you're saying, we were talking about the different types of directs. Well, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
The end of July, Nintendo unveiled its first Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, the first of many that would happen in 2020. And the big announcement from it was another game that everyone's like, where's this been? Shin Megami Tensei 5 would arrive in 2021 with worldwide simultaneous launch, meaning no localization delay for people outside of Japan.
Yeah, because that was originally revealed like before the Switch release, right? When we had those
billion
big
years ago.
Back in the
when we had that
old
big
days.
launch party or whatever. I went to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember it was that trailer of that like dilapidated schoolroom, and that was kind of it. And then that was years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is when you start like really splitting things to a strange degree to me, because it's like, okay, like I get like Nintendo Indie World,
right?
Put a focus on indies, show off these things, and so the people don't have their expectations set to like astronomical levels. But then when you're like, okay, we're gonna do a Nintendo Direct, but there's just not gonna be any Nintendo games in it.
Right.
So let's call it mini, and then put basically like, yeah, Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. As somebody who has to put titles on YouTube, it's just like a nightmare.
Well, and especially because like they're not mini. Like
right.
I don't remember the lengths of every Nintendo Direct, but like these things are like 26 minutes long also, which seems on par with most of the directs too. So it's like mini is a strange choice. Some of them are like 10 minutes, and that's mini.
They're definitely worse than they're on the shorter end, but they could get as long as approach the proper direct. But the more being more granular with this kind of lined up with some rumors that Nintendo was apparently telling third parties, hey, we're not going to be doing our own directs maybe for a while, but if you want to like announcing us on your own, or maybe this is a compromise, hey, if you send us your stuff, we can put together a thing just for third parties, but you're not going to get to ride the wave of like a big new, like when Paper Mario was announced, we're not doing a direct for that. You can't be in that thing as well. And as you'll see, another thing was announced shortly after. It's like, we're not doing that anymore right now. You're going to have to do it a different way. So,
and I think that's totally right. And I think that is evidence of two things. That thing we were talking about before about maybe announcing things with smaller window before release, and then that COVID impacted a lot of games and stuff that was announced, Breath of the Wild 2, whatever, and things that haven't been announced yet, like Odyssey 2 or whatever, have been delayed,
Odyssey 2.
And so like, I think it just shows that Nintendo doesn't have much this year by way of those first party big boys.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, yeah, this is a compromise.
I think that too. I think it's definitely the case. There's one more part of this tale before I pose the question about the future of Nintendo announcements, a different thing they did later. But moving into August, we did get another one of these kind of out of nowhere announcements. Pikmin 3 Deluxe was announced as well in its own isolated little announcement trailer and in social media support. This had also been rumored for many months. People had found some stuff pointing that this was probably coming. We covered it on a previous episode of Friend Code. This is the first Pikmin game I've dove into and now love
too.
it. I was like, yes, Pikmin 3, yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna go play 2 and 1 now at some point as soon as I can because I'm on board the Pikmin train.
I played the demo and I really liked it, but then I've been in this weird. I was just talking about this with Omar the other day. It's like I've been in this weird mindset lately where I'm in a post Demon Souls pre Cyberpunk world, and I don't want to like commit time to any of these other. Because I'm like, well, should I play 13 Sentinels? Should I play Pikmin 3? Should I play this and that? And I'm like, Cyberpunk is gonna take hours, so
Yeah.
yeah, and I have to play that as my job. So we'll see.
We got an update on Super Nintendo World, the theme park. Its future outside of Japan became uncertain in August when Nintendo announced that COVID-19's impact would force the plans for the Florida version of it to be put on indefinite hold. I think the Florida one had a little bit more of an elaborate setup plan for it. But there was no Hollywood update in this, though, as we would see. So, yeah, the whole theme park thing that was supposed to open this year, now it's starting to fall a little bit apart. A little bit of concern about that because, will those types of things come back in a post-COVID world? Obviously, there's more to this. We did get some confirmation of a few details more recently that we'll get to. But at this point, it's like, whoa, what's going to happen? How long are we going to even have to wait for this? Lots of questions circling theme parks and in-person attractions.
I should check to make sure that Disney didn't start billing me for my annual pass again.
Mm.
Because
Oh.
it's like, until I'm vaccinated, I'm not going anywhere near anything like this.
Gotta get your card.
I'm not going anywhere.
Kamiya once again reiterates Bayonetta 3 development is going fine.
Yes.
Good.
We got our first quarter financial report from Nintendo for fiscal year 2021. The Switch reached 61 million units sold. Pokemon Sword and Shield
Yo.
became the third best-selling mainline Pokemon game, and Animal Crossing surpassed 22 million units sold.
Woof.
A third of the Switches.
So remember, we started 52. We're now at 61. We got up 9 million for through Q1. So it's 6 months basically. We've gone up 9 million in 6 months. So went from 3 to up by 6 more. So it's like, ooh, we doubled. That's pretty good. Yeah. Then again, Animal Crossing just breaking records left and right here, just continuing. And then as we talked about earlier about some people criticizing Sword and Shield before it came out, their best-selling mainline Pokemon game has a realistic chance to go on to reach even higher than that. Who knows? We'll have to
It's just
see.
gonna make everyone more frustrated.
Yeah, that's not always. I will say that's not always the best thing when something that people don't like does well, because it does mean more of that. It's not.
Yeah.
One side tries to rub it in your face, the other side's like, man, just now I'm stuck with this. That's when it comes to video games. It's talking about specifically video games and directions games go in only with this example. So yeah, but it's still good news for Nintendo, honestly. Again, despite all this horrible stuff going around them, financially, at least, those people's jobs are safe. Things are, secure financially for that company. That's always good news in a pandemic like this.
Yeah.
Guess what? Switch Pro rumors are back again. They're back in full force in August. Yeah. People thought LED screens and like OLED screens and like new chips and it came back in full force in August, and we could persist for about another month. That we're definitely getting a Switch Pro next year. It's coming next year, maybe as soon as the end of this year, but it's back. Don't believe the rumors. Just wanted to say Switch Pro didn't go away this year. The rumors stayed. They just took a little bit of a nap, and then they came back and they woke up cranky and they're ready for their Let's go. August wrapped up by having Square Enix announcing the collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend exclusively for.
They only announced it then, huh?
Yeah, exclusively for Switch, coming out December 15th. We're not at December 15th. You're very close, so it's coming out pretty soon.
Very close.
Very close. Yeah,
that title breaks my brain.
Yeah, collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend.
It's like none of those are the actual an actual name of a thing. Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend. It's like, well, all right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, you might already know this, Ian. So Saga is
Saga's a different. Yeah.
is the name of the franchise that came about later on. But when they originally released them in the US, they were just like riding the Final Fantasy coattails. So the first 3 Saga games, I think,
Yeah.
were billed as Final Fantasy Legend.
Oh.
And it wasn't until the console games started coming out that they renamed it to the series to Saga.
Huh.
So they're trying the best of
Works
both
for
worlds.
comic books, I
yeah,
guess.
it's the best of both worlds there. You know, if only Kingdom Hearts had stories about practical reasons why they were named the way they were, like this was, you know. But it's okay. Moving into September, we get a positive for consumers. The Switch eShop finally started allowing you to cancel pre-orders up to 7 days before a game's release. Previously, you know, this was a problem.
Up to 7. Wait.
So if a game comes, so let's go with Saga Collection of
So
Saga.
if a game
Final
is
Fantasy.
within a week, you can't cancel it.
Yeah,
Still?
so it's not.
I think that's because that's when it preloads.
Something about
I think.
maybe. I know they've argued preloading to
Hmm.
get out of it in Europe about the cancellation stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
December 15th, there was a collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legends coming out. You have until December 8th to cancel your pre-order if you pre-ordered it. Otherwise, that is going on your credit card or PayPal account.
That
That's
feels-
Tamari.
That feels like not. It feels like a bad half step.
It's yeah. And when I said positive,
You haven't
yeah.
gotten there
Oh,
yet. You have not gotten there yet. I'm sorry.
Exactly. I'm being very facetious here, where it's like this is dumb. Not only should you be able to return it up to the point of purchase, it should just be like Steam, where they have an internal metric about how long a game is, and if you played over a certain percent, you're past the point of a refund. You played more than 2 hours, you can't get a refund on this game. It should be that. It should be up until past when you're actually playing it. Like, this game is not for me. Give me a refund, man. This is like false advertising, whatever you think you want to call it. Like, I think that's fair.
Because like
Especially for
reviews
an
aren't
eShop game. Yeah.
very often. The reviews aren't out within 7 days a lot of
Right.
the time. So it's like, especially for
Yeah.
something like Crystal Chronicles Remastered, right? We're like, hey, I don't know why I wouldn't be into that. And then the reviews come out and you find out like, hey,
Yeah.
this thing is busted and stupid.
Exactly.
And then, like, oh, I got to cancel my pre-order. Oh, too bad, too late.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I agree with
not
how the
good.
system works. It's kind of like needs to be that way until things change, at least. But yeah. By the way, as a heads up, September ended up being pretty much like the past few Septembers of Nintendo. Lots of big announcements. Lots of big things happened in September. In fact, for this year, September was pretty much their E3 month. All the big announcements happened in September, starting with the final piece of our Nintendo Direct trilogy here about the different directions they've gone with. They've gone with, just individual trailers released, partner mini directs, and now you get the Super Mario 35th Anniversary Direct, a direct specifically for this announcement, which included the long final confirmation of the long-rumored Super Mario 3D All-Stars, including Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, only Super Mario Galaxy, no Galaxy 2. Nintendo doesn't exist to Nintendo. We got the announcement of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury coming out next year, an enhanced port of the Wii U game. Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, a physical toy that Ian did a really awesome, easy update about that you
Mhm.
should check
Thanks.
out. Yeah.
It's pretty fun for a couple hours.
Super Mario 35, Nintendo's Battle Royale for classic Super Mario Brothers, which
I played that like one day.
I played it for
Yeah,
one
pretty
match.
fun for a couple hours.
I played it for one match, and it penalized me for taking shortcuts, and I was like, I'm out. You're not rewarding me for doing shortcuts? Goodbye, game.
How did it penalize you for taking
In
shortcuts?
World 1 2, I went up to the top, like breaking the bricks like you do, and run across the top. I got and my time kept ticking down, and I didn't get any. You kill enemies, like, boost your time. There was nothing to boost my time up there, so I lost a lot of time up there. So even though I went faster, I lost too much time by not gaining
you're
time and
just-
stuff.
You're playing a different game.
I
Dario.
know. So I was very
that's not what
disappointed
this
in
game
that.
is about.
I was very disappointed in that. I know. I'm just being stupid there. Super Mario All-Stars came out for SNES Online Catalog, free edition there. And finally, Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers. All of that announced in this big, massive Mario 35th Anniversary Direct. And yes, that's a lot there. That's pretty much like the big event of the year, I think, for them. This was supposed to be their big blowout probably earlier in the year. And wow, a lot of stuff. Yeah, you already talked about the Mario Kart live home circuit, Ian. But yeah, Ian and Blood. Any of those other things have you been able to? You talked about 35th Super Mario 35 as well. But any of the other ones you've played that you have any particular feelings about? I know we've covered some of this
Well,
stuff already. In previous
it's funny
content.
because much was made, and I agree that the All Stars 3-pack was a little overpriced, probably, and just reiterating that Nintendo bastard magic that they have, where it's like even I was like, yeah, 60 seems a little too much for this, and then in like a fugue state, my thumbs just went and bought it anyway, and I've played it for like maybe an hour. It's just like, oh, what have I done?
That thing did crazy sales.
Yeah.
But the potentially part of the reasoning there is this craziness of it's going away.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah,
At
that's
the
so
end of March,
weird.
you won't be able to buy this digital like why? What?
Very
It's just
weird. It's
super
Disney
dumb.
Vault garbage. It's just like false scarcity.
They have, so I love it. People will rightly point out that Nintendo has done this before. This isn't a new practice with limited releases. The difference is those limited releases were almost all exclusively physical releases.
Yeah.
This
which makes
I don't
sense.
I would not mind if physical releases of this game ceased
Right.
on the date they said, but removing it from being able to purchase digitally is the inexplicable action here. The indefensible action here. So Nintendo deserves a lot of criticism for that type of move, I think, and rightfully so. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless we're
Yeah,
getting
it's
some
bizarre.
kind of crazy subscription service on April 15th or something. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I feel like communication would have helped more. And I understand Nintendo likes to be secret about plans, but heck, even just saying like at that point, those games will be sold individually without the bonus
Right.
features or something. It's like they do that
For
with like
$29.99 each.
Right.
Probably.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've gone over
Hey,
my
we can
Disney.
invert camera now though.
Yeah, we got some updates. They finally fixed.
very happy
They fixed
for
Super Mario
you.
64. They added GameCube controller support to Sunshine. It's like, okay,
That is actually even bigger. Yeah.
we're starting to get to where you should have been at launch, but this is Nintendo. Just like we talked about with Animal Crossing, slow and steady. They'll maybe get there at some point. We'll have to see.
Did you guys talk about on the podcast that scientific research about why people invert video game controls? Did you see that?
We mentioned it. Yep.
I saw the headline. I didn't really look into it too much, but I just assumed that it confirmed that you're crazy.
Okay.
No, it's more about it's more about it's kind of like became like a launching pad. Like there was just like some Twitter thing that went back and forth and people found it fascinating. And so like now they're like it's become the impetus to start this study and like figure out
Oh,
how
okay.
different people's like cognition and perception works.
Interesting.
More research is needed.
More research needed.
Always no more research is needed. Nintendo probably can afford more research than anything they want after they announced that their stock value hit the highest it had ever hit in it hit a 12-year high. And
Yeah.
it nearly matched the high level it hit back during the Wii DS era. Like the pinnacle of that point where Wii was like a phenomenon, sold out for years. It's back to nearly
Yeah.
those levels. That is how well this one line I think illustrates how well Nintendo has done this year. Is that their investors are very happy with the performance of the game, of their games and their hardware. So they are definitely doing extremely well.
And they've done it with like 3 or 4 not even new first party titles.
Yeah,
Like,
we haven't gone
These
over
are-
all the releases yet.
it's basically Animal Crossing.
The
and
biggest one
that's
is like
it.
Animal Crossing so far has been the biggest one that would have impacted that. And it is, and that's a
Yeah.
large reason. Animal Crossing is their biggest game of
Yeah.
the year by far.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for all those Mario
Wild.
announcements, Nintendo's like, you know what? We have some other series besides Mario. We have something called The Legend of Zelda. And near the middle of the month, they also announced something called Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Next installment of the Warrior series, except it's going to serve as a game that takes place 100 years before the events of Breath of the Wild. Nintendo treating it and acting like it's going to be an official part of the Breath of the Wild storyline and canon, and looks everything like Breath of the Wild. You're gonna play as the champions, everything like that. So came out of nowhere. Big surprise. I thought we were getting Breath of the Wild 2. You know, I saw the announcement like, here we go, baby, Breath of the Wild 2. And that bait and switch, I was like, oh yeah. Which by the way, I'm calling it now. I'm expecting another bait and switch on the Game Awards this week. Yeah, if you're watching this early, it'll be probably tomorrow.
Ooh, yeah.
If you're watching this after, you'll probably be able to say if I was right or wrong by now. They're going to pull a bait and switch. They're going to show off something that looks like the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, but it's just DLC for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Don't worry. And I'm going to be very upset about that.
Seems a little soon for DLC, but who knows?
Yeah.
Or it could be, we could
really.
have like a bridge chapter, right? Something like
Oh, yeah.
we head underground for a bit.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they have planned. By the way,
Dang
if
it,
you watch the
Bloodworms.
most recent episode of Friend Code, we do talk a lot about what we think the DLC might be with some evidence to back it up. Should go check that out as well.
It's gonna be one hell of a Game Awards with Silent Hill.
Yeah. And the Switch
everything
Pro just
coming
shadow
up.
dropping.
Switch Pro shadow dropping.
Hardware. Keely gonna pull it out.
Metal Gear Solid games.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk
GTA
on Switch,
6.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
remember,
everything.
the hint was CD Projekt Red said they wouldn't rule it out yet. Back in the beginning of the year, they actually said that. They're not rolling it out.
They'll stream to it or
Yeah,
something. if
though I
anything.
mean, we're almost to that point. That covered. Grasshopper announced that No More Heroes 3 would be officially delayed to 2021 due to COVID-19.
Grasshopper Manufacturer, please.
Oh, sorry, Grasshopper Manufacturer. Thank you, Suda 51.
That's like my favorite company name.
It's a great logo
Yeah.
too. Great.
I love
That's
it.
a really
Yeah, I
cool
love
logo.
it.
Very, very regal, I think. No More Heroes 3 would be delayed to 2021 due to COVID-19's impact on the game's development. People have been like, it'd been announced as a 2020 title. People were like, where is it? Where is it? We're getting all these big game announcements and we got these partner showcases. Is it going to happen? And like, it's not happening this year. We're sorry. A funny footnote here. Nintendo had a corporate management policy briefing, which people didn't really expect anything to come out of it. But in one of their slides, Nintendo made its first official public reference to next-gen hardware. In one of its flowcharts, it pointed switch forward for software, and it said next-gen hardware. And people were like, here we go. No, just wanted
Switch Pro.
Switch 2, here we go. But
Switch 4.
Switch 4, they should call it Switch 4. Switch for all. Switch for all. Company might check now, Nintendo. But in more important news, the NES Online Catalog update for the month, Donkey Kong Country 2, Mario Super Picross, The Peacekeepers, and Scat for NES. First three for SNES, last one for NES. But Donkey Kong Country 2, man. Both those games, went through, replayed them, fully completed them. Love it. Had a great time.
Beautiful. I jumped into the Mario Super Picross because that had never been released here. That was Japanese. And it's very Japanese. It's hilariously Japanese because the first few things that you're solving, you're just spelling out like the title of the game, but it's all in katakana. So nobody that's playing this, like unless you've studied a little bit, has any idea what the crap they're doing.
Oh, are you talking about this blood? I was like, oh, okay, sure.
And then you have like there's this Wario side of the game too, where like the puzzles are just kind of like light trolls and like almost like pictorial satire of puzzle games. It's weird. I need to put more time into it.
Yes.
But the thing is like Picross is my airplane game, and I haven't been on airplanes. So what the crap? Can't do anything.
It's not going. Oh, hopefully it's not going anywhere. You never know.
Right.
Nintendo. Well, then maybe it's hopefully it'll still be there for you when you get back on a plane. We also another partner direct where Monster Hunter Rise was announced. This rumored Monster Hunter game for Switch. Everyone been talking about. We got Monster Hunter Rise coming to Switch. Also, Monster Hunter Stories 2 has a subtitle I forgot. Also announced for Switch, but also apparently coming. Apparently both are coming to other platforms. Monster Hunter Rise apparently is coming to PC later. Monster Hunter Stories kind of platforms. That was part of, we're not gonna really cover it any more than what I'm gonna say here. There was a massive Capcom leak this year, and that was in there. So apparently it's coming to PC, but whatever. If they're not gonna be synced up at some point, might as well play on Switch. So you get the
leaks like that is it still might not happen.
Yeah, maybe the plans change. You never know. But anyway, as of the moment, Monster Hunter Rise is coming March 26, 2021 to the Switch, and summer for Monster Hunter Stories 2. Big games, those gotta be massive games. And we're starting to fill out in the beginning of next year with some releases here.
The Monster
looks
Hunter division
exciting.
is just killing it. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
more power to them.
This is gonna drive Switch sales through the roof next year. So the Animal Crossing this year, and you have Monster Hunter Rise next year. So they're gonna keep that money train going for sure. Yeah, there's even rumors this like where Switch Pro comes back. People think there's gonna be Switch Pro. Perfect optimal timing is to come out around Monster Hunter Rise. So I'd keep my eye on that.
And I'm curious too how hungry Japan is for Monster Hunter right now, because like I'm sure there's a lot of dedicated players that are playing on console, but
Yeah,
the portable market is so much bigger, and they haven't had anything really to go on for quite a while.
That was the pro thing. Was definitely one of my first thoughts, because the thing I think about when I think about a Monster Hunter game, especially since World and stuff, is like performance is really important in these games, and load times and all that kind of stuff. And so the thought of Rise, if it's going to be comparable to World in many ways, like, will that run well on a Switch? I don't know. So a Pro would be nice for a Monster Hunter for sure.
For sure. And yeah, Bloody made a good point too, because the portable scene, Monster Hunter has such a strong history there, especially in Japan, but also the fact that Monster Hunter World is, even with oh gosh, what's the expansion's name? Iceborne.
Iceborne.
It is Iceborne. I don't know why I thought that was something else. Anyway, they're wrapped up. Like all the major content updates are done for that. So yeah, in a few months, Monster Hunter enthusiasts could be, hey, where's where's the next one? I'm waiting for it. I'm ready to go. So look forward to that one. That's a big deal. And somber, a little bit of a bittersweet, somber ending to September. Nintendo officially announced the end of production of the 3DS family of systems. So no more 3DSs are being made anymore. So whatever is out there.
There's no more anything that's being made except Switch.
That's true. Yeah, that's it.
And the Switch Pro.
Yeah.
They've been making it in secret.
Yeah, we got to get one. We got to get that exclusive.
But I think that's significant, because like Nintendo has usually, had multiple platforms running, whether it be crossovers of consoles and handhelds, but
mobile technically, but
they're not producing mobile as a hardware.
Yeah, but
although that'd be interesting to see a Nintendo branded phone.
Hey, it was rumored at one point.
What random thing would be missing out of that?
It was. I remember
that would be like
rumored.
the worst. No, that would not. I mean, I'd want to see
like,
it.
Wouldn't have a camera.
I want to see it just for the
be like, what the hell?
What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be amazing. All right, we're almost done. We're wrapping up here. Last quarter of the year, October. Starting off with a big October 1st, another Smash Brothers announcement. Next fighter, Steve and Alex from Minecraft, joining as the second fighter for the Fighter Pass Volume 2. Broke the internet that day. Internet was actually broken for that day.
Yeah.
Could not handle it. That is huge announcement for the reach of Smash Brothers. Already a massive game, one of their best-selling games. Now with that reach of Minecraft, that's just insane to see where they're going with these fighters now. This is something they said you should tune in for. You should be let's give you a heads up. It was appropriately, expectations were set for this one. But
I had only jumped in long enough to just kind of understand the moveset for something else that we were recording. But it is cool and creative, and seeing them continue to bring characters in and find new things that they can do with them, rather than just like, this is just a sword wielding guy. We'll just change the sword for a pickaxe. Like, no, they're gonna rework every level for this character.
That was what blew my mind, that they had to go back through and like change the code on every stage so that it worked with this crazy ass character design. It's just like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Very impressive, and does not, so much credit for preserving, as we said, like how Sakurai said, we don't want to bend games. These games are adding to the will of Smash Brothers. We want to bend Smash Brothers to the rules of these other games. And that was like the leading philosophy. Philosophy was never more apparent than in them bringing Minecraft into the game. And that's just like, even if you're not into it, just to see it realized was pretty as I said, impressive. So we got another update on Super Nintendo World in Japan. They announced it was going to be set to open in spring of 2021, but starting October 16th, the Mario Cafe and store would be open for people who wanted to come check it out in limited capacity. So they're getting ready. Like, hey, we're ready to start moving things along over here and stuff. And we'll see that there will be one more update to that. But man, I'll just jump ahead. We finally found out later in earlier recently that February 4th will be the official opening date for Super Nintendo World in Japan. We got an announcement trailer. We got to see some of the stuff, like, you know, the walk up to Bowser statue, the Yoshi's Adventure ride, kind of like a little bit moving this, like how I think was it you Blood who said like it looks like how they nailed the look of a video game in points of it, like the suspension of disbelief while you're in there.
I think that might have been Huber.
Or Huber,
but,
yeah.
The pictures are really cool. Like, it looks just like it.
I just can't wait to go to it. It's like, like I need to live. I need that vaccine to be alive so I can go check this out once, please.
I have been really fearful of mortality lately. I'm just like, I gotta live. I gotta make it through this. I got too much stuff to do.
Yeah, it's not a fun thought, but it's also I mean, because you can't see everything even through what they show you, like the Mario hat with the AR glasses. You can't see that. Like, you have to experience that. I mean, they could do some CG mock-up, but it's still not even going to be the same thing. I really want to check that out. I think I've been.
Go
ahead.
Well, in my history of bizarre not fights, but strange discussions I've had with Don, I got into one where someone took a cell phone video months ago of the park in Japan, and it had a coin on a stick on top of the little, you know, hill spinning, and the coin was spinning around. And I was like, oh, cool that they have the little models of the coins on the sticks so that they're automated, you know, animatronics, whatever. And he goes, well, no, that's AR. And I'm like, what? And he goes, that's AR. And I was like, no, it's not. You can see the pole that's holding it up. And he's like, no, they put that into the AR to make it more convincing. I'm like, doesn't that make it less convincing?
Now you have to film when you both can go there, and you have to settle it in a video.
Yeah, and I'll be like, and I was also like, some dude doesn't have their AR app on his phone yet. Like, what do you?
You just spoof it, and you should go there and make it so it looks like Dawn won the bet, and you're just like, what? This is not real. And then you walk next door, and it's a pizza flipping store where they're making. And you just say like, "F it, I'm out of here." And you wake up like, okay, thank goodness. We also got the announcement in October that Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light would be coming December 4th.
Yeah.
The first official English port of the NES version of this game outside of Japan. We already got a remake of it for the DS many, many years ago, back when we were at Game Trailers that came out. And this is a small little thing, you know, just, you know, giving people a chance to experience the original in an official capacity.
For a limited time only.
Yeah, here we go again.
And this is even more bizarre to me, because this is such a, like, why would you go through the effort, this amount of effort to translate a game like Fire Emblem?
Right.
Like, I know there's less text on the NES, but good grief.
Yeah.
And then say it'll be gone at the end of March.
That one, I feel, I don't know. I mean, the timing of March makes me think it's because of, you know, financial reports. I already speculated this back on the past episode of Friend Code, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well,
honestly.
the fact that both this and Mario don't get the same amount of time in the sun, they both end in March, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, are they activating some other kind of model in March where these games become part of a subscription thing, or like what's going on? Or are they just crazy weirdos? Like Nintendo
never know.
Nintendo.
You never know.
It's pretty cheap though, right? What's the
like
price?
$4.99
$5.99,
or
I think.
Something.
Yeah, $5.99, I think. We also got the final partner showcase of the year. A lot of stuff was talked about here. I think we got Bravely Default 2 officially delayed to February 26th of next year. They apologized for that. You know, people are expecting it to hit this year. No More Heroes 3, which had already been delayed. We got an update on that, where they announced that both 1 and 2, No More Heroes 1 and 2, were coming to Switch immediately.
Right.
We also got the announcement of cloud versions of Control and Hitman 3. And
Yeah,
Nintendo,
those are crazy.
yeah, Nintendo announced a new structure for their cloud games, indicating that likely more are coming in the future, that you could try it out for a little while for free, and then it's going to prompt you to go ahead and buy the game. And we talked about a little bit, having tried it out, in the performance mode, basically it works pretty decently if you have a decent internet connection. I was pretty impressed with being able to play it. Seems like a better direction to go than just trying to do a straight port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd been doing this in Japan here and there for some time, but it's the first time. These are the first games that we've seen roll out in the US. And yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's probably one of the better, arguments for cloud gaming. I think this and demos. Demos is the other one. It's like, yeah, dude, just give me them hot demos. I'll stream that.
Oh yeah, need more demos. Yeah, there's also been people think that Resident Evil 3 is coming to the service because people found a reference to it in one of the files that points to an eShop, which makes sense if it's going to be the cloud version, actually.
Right.
So I wouldn't be too surprised by that. But
because Resident Evil 7 was in Japan.
Yep.
So it was the first one of these, if I recall.
And there's one other game, Assassin's Creed, right?
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed.
Was it Origins?
Was it their Odyssey or Origins? One of the
Odyssey
two.
or Origins. Yeah, I don't remember.
But I expect this is also not just only. I feel like this might just be a solution they're going for, because if they do Switch Pro, there might be some games that come physically out on Switch Pro that might not be able to run on the normal Switch vanilla. And so a cloud version will be your alternative for maybe that.
Got it.
Or something like that. Or maybe, and also it's just like a way for, even if the Switch Pro is not powerful enough, some of these PS5, Xbox Series X high-end games, just put a cloud version on Switch. You're good. You don't have to worry about this high-end port effort to bring it to there. So Cyberpunk will probably be coming to Switch at some point through a cloud version.
It's true. It's on Stadia.
Yeah, don't worry. It's going to come in the near future. Watch. All right, moving into November. So remember, we started at 52 million for the Switch lifetime sales. In November, we find out that Switch has officially hit 68 million units. So it's grown by 16 million units in just 9 months, officially surpassing the lifetime sales of the Nintendo Entertainment System. So on its
big boy,
on its historic chart, going up and up and up. It's now it's approaching some of the now it's going after the biggest ones. So it's now got a long trek to surpass on the Wii, the DS, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 4. It's got a little bit of a ways to go for those, but with its momentum, it's not out of the realm of possibility that it could do it, by the end of all of this. So we'll have to see. Also in sales data, Fire Emblem Three Houses became the best-selling game in the series as well. Finally passed Awakening. Yep. So very, very good to hear about that. So expect more Fire Emblem, lots more Fire Emblem as it keeps doing well. Blood, you might be able to speak to this the most, since I have very little experience, but I appreciate what this game did. We got a sequel to a cult favorite. Neo: The World Ends With You was announced for summer of 2021. I understand it's a multi-platform release, not Nintendo exclusive, but the original originated on the Nintendo DS. It was a very unique style of game. So seeing, that series getting another chance, imagine that makes you feel pretty good.
Well, that series becoming a series.
Yeah, that too.
And then as you mentioned, the DS, control scheme was very tailored around that hardware. There is a Switch version, which, people debate whether you should even go that route or not, because it was, originally designed with the stylus and the D-pad being used at the same time. And so it doesn't quite feel the same on Switch, but this new game is being made from the ground up for Switch. And so it's going to be its own beast, and it's going to be 3D rather than 2D sprites. And it's just, it's going to be very curious how they choose to go about continuing this and what elements feel like they translate into this new gameplay style.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the one I jump into the series with too when it finally comes out. Though I'm not entirely sure what platform I'm probably going to play it on. From the initial trailer, it doesn't look too graphically intense, so I don't know if I'd be getting much of a
Right.
benefit from playing it on a PS4/PS5, like, backwards compatible, versus just being able to play it on the go on the Switch. So I'm kind of leaning towards getting it on the Switch when it finally comes out and checking out that And World Ends With You. What's going on with that? This one I put on here because I think it's indicative of potentially another direction change with software releases, especially for Switch, and potentially an impact of COVID-19. There was a bunch of brouhaha over Doom Eternal. People thinking it was getting canceled originally because it was being delisted from shop pages on major
Right.
websites. But then they confirmed that it was just going digital only. There wouldn't be a physical release of that. And I think that's mostly a byproduct of COVID-19, that you're seeing digital sales surge. You're seeing buying habits and trends shift, like being pushed ahead of schedule towards that inevitable conclusion that majority of sales will eventually be digital. It's already here now. Like, I think Animal Crossing was like about 50% of sales were digital in like its first month. And they were saying that they were seeing that trend continue, though they attributed it to COVID-19, and they'd have to reevaluate once things return back to normal. So I think that you might see this. There might be some other reasons. Maybe it's cost of manufacturing. The profit margins were just a little too thin to hit, that they decided.
Yeah, Switch in particular is high manufacturing costs. So.
Yeah. So that's part of it. But I also think COVID did impact it a little bit. Said, hey, they'll still sell well digitally. Let's just throw it digital only. Save some money on production costs. The Pokemon Company announced that they have very special plans for the 25th anniversary of Pokemon in 2021. So
Okay.
We're going to have some Pokemon stuff next year. Big Pokemon
Very
stuff.
special.
Very special. They have a new logo.
Will that be when Snap comes out?
Yeah, Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, it will for sure.
Yeah.
More good sales news. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity has already become the best-selling entry in the Warriors series. This is before we even hit December. Its first week.
Wow.
3 million shipped. No previous Warrior series has even come near that number. And it's still going. So
the power of Breath of the Wild.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Was it Dynasty Warriors up to like 15 or something? I don't know. It's probably not that quite that high, but it's high.
They're definitely.
And like all of the Orochi and Samurai Warriors and
yeah, maybe they meant in its launch a week or something, but how it's going, it's gonna blow away.
Sure.
It's gonna easily blow away anything on there. We already covered Mario Maker being removed news. We already covered the Super Nintendo World finally opening, and we already covered the Smash Brothers stuff with Nintendo issuing a cease and desist. And finally, the last thing that happened, this is related to Nintendo missteps. I didn't give you the last one they did. We started off this conversation dealing with like Nintendo maybe not doing the best with community outreach. The beginning of this month, this week, just recently, Nintendo announced that they're canceling their Splatoon 2 North American Open. They're in the final. They're going to lead into the finals because of unexpected executional challenges. But the community is quick to point out that the real reason for this is because the players who were in the tournament were changing their in-game names to things that were supporting the Super Smash Brothers community, like terms like Free Melee and stuff like that. And Nintendo apparently didn't want that going on, and so apparently they shut down the tournament. So that is where this tale ends at the moment for this right now. That is how we close out our news year in review for the Nintendo saga 2020. I don't know if there's anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about. I will say there were some releases we didn't hit. January 17th was Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Sharp FE Encore. I need to really play that game. I own both versions. I still have not played it. I feel really bad about that. February 13th, Fire Emblem 3S's Cindered Shadows DLC came out. Did a whole episode of Friend Code on that. It was okay DLC, I thought. I don't know if you got to play it at all, Ian, or...
I played a decent amount of it. I didn't finish the story of it.
Yeah. The Ashen Wolves and a hidden fourth school. Yeah. Pokemon Home also launched that day as well. Man, I haven't even touched Pokemon Home. I don't want to touch it at all. It's got. I looked at the details on it. I'm like, it's still. Even the infographics make it look so ridiculous. I'm like, okay, which way you can transfer Pokemon? There's paid levels. I'm like, okay, this is not for me. This is clearly not my wheelhouse. March 6th, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX came out. I played one of those for review back at Game Trailers, like Mystery of Time or something.
Right.
Just simple dungeon crawler game. The big one for me was May 29th, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition plus Future Connected. Like Xenoblade Chronicles, the original, getting its due. Finally, a lot of people getting to experience it for the first time. Really had a great time revisiting that, and made me remember why I like that game so much more than the sequel, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Just does a lot of things right. Interesting direction they went with Future Connected for that extra content. Ultimately was pretty non-consequential, but fun.
Okay.
The idea, like gameplay, I'm talking story-wise. Story-wise, it's kind of non-consequential. Anyway, did either of you try out Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics in June?
Yeah.
That was one of the ones I wrote down a few Switch games, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
It was good.
I haven't tried it out. It seems like
I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
It's 51 classic tabletop games, probably half of which you'll play a lot of, and then the other ones are you're like, all right.
all right.
But I mean, it's pretty cool. I really liked it, and I jump into it here and there just to like play.
Does
this and
it
that,
online or is it only local? I forget.
Yeah, it has online,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
good.
it's
Okay.
kind of nice. What's a really nice thing about it is that like I have the full game. If I wanted to play with someone else, they can just download a free demo basically, but then they can play with me full features. I'm like, they're kind of just like
That's
additional to my game, which is
I like
nice.
that. Yeah,
so
I
like
like
I could
that.
play with Sophia and stuff, and yeah, she didn't have to buy it.
We also the 2 Pokemon DLCs came out this year. June was Isle of Armor, and more recently in October was the Crown Tundra. I didn't touch either of those.
I had long quit that game.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time playing the mainline, the base game. I just didn't really feel a need for DLC, honestly.
For
Man,
sure.
I couldn't get through it. I got tired of it.
Any of you put any time into Ninjala? That came out in June for
No,
Switch.
that's free to play, right?
Yeah, the free-to-play game. They kept boasting about getting lots of users at first, but I don't know where it sits right now. It kind of has fallen off.
Was that the like kind of
Splatoon,
Splatoon looking one?
yeah, people are
Yeah,
drawing
it's
comparisons
like
to
Bubblegum
Splatoon.
Ninjas.
Mhm.
Yeah. I played it back at E3, but I haven't played the
I
full
remember
game.
seeing a lot of that. I think the only one it was Kirby Fighters 2 came out in into September. Just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that one's random.
Yeah, didn't
Yeah,
really
didn't
really
even-
touch it. And then, as I said, I still got to put some time into Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon: The Blade of Light. But yeah, I think that does it for 2020. Yeah,
The only other ones I had
Yeah.
written down, and some of these are multi-platform, but I
sure.
played
Go
them
ahead.
on Switch.
Yeah.
Paradise Killer, Deadly
Hmm.
Premonition 1 and 2.
Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family
Premonition
Feud.
2. I forgot about that. Is my gosh.
Deadly Premonition 2, baby.
Yeah, that is. Yep. Go ahead. My bad.
You wrote
Oh,
down
I mean-
Family Feud?
Family Feud, man.
Family Feud.
I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. And then Hades, I've played on my
Hades is a
Switch.
big one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
I'll-
played it on PC.
I need to play that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have some really quick patron questions here. Just 3, really quick. Snivy Link asks, all right, time for bets. When will Metroid Prime 4 be revealed? Exact dates, please. Go.
Revealed.
Revealed. Just revealed. Like when we actually see it.
Re-revealed.
Like, yeah, seeing it next.
Gameplay reveal
Yeah, sure.
or a CG?
Anything. Anything next time it's shown off.
Either Game Awards or March
All right.
22nd,
All right.
2021.
Bloworth, you got anything?
Both of those are way too soon, probably.
It's funny is like I want to look at a calendar just because like I don't want to like
Yeah.
throw
I
out a
wanna-
date
yeah.
that's actually like a weekend or something.
Hey,
I definitely was like, 22nd. what day
Nintendo's
is it?
unpredictable pattern. I think any day is okay.
Right. Let's say August 19th.
Woo, going for the later one
Wow.
there. All right. I mean, as I said, September was their big month this year, so that's going to be the new norm. I mean, maybe closer to it. You never know. All right. I did open my Windows calendar here because I want to pick a Thursday. I'm picking April 15th, 2021. That's a Thursday.
Tax day.
Calling it right there. Yep. Samus is coming. The bill is due.
The bill is
The bill is due. Coming to collect. Next, Ken Relay asks, love and respect. So when do you all think we will see the next game from Monolith Soft? Any hope for this year, if only a tease? If not, when do you think we see the next game or games from them? So kind of similar question, but for Monolith Soft.
That I
Remind me what they
Xenoblade. When do
Yeah.
you think
Oh,
we're
yeah,
going to see
okay.
that? I mean, obviously, technically you could say Breath of the Wild sequel, but I think they mean a brand new game.
Yeah. I actually, that one I could envision seeing at Game Awards. Yeah, because they are ridiculously fast at making their games. So I don't think that they had that much of their team working on the remake. I could be wrong, but
All right.
I'll say Game Awards or March 26th,
All right.
which is a Friday.
I don't think the Game Awards. I think it's too soon. But since you pick those dates, I'm going to pick the same date because I'm going to call April 15th as a big direct date. I'm going to say it's going to be one of the two major directs. It's going to be April 15th.
You're gonna birth a rumor here,
Yeah, I know, I'm
Damian.
just making stuff up here. This is not real. Whatever. Then I'll pick another date. I don't want to do this. May 21st. There you go. May 21st. That's when you'll hear about the next Monolith Soft project. All right. Our final question comes from Zach. Hey, everyone. I got a Nintendo Switch, the Animal Crossing styled one, no less, on March 13th, 2020. It was the last thing I bought before I went into full lockdown at my tiny little house in New York, and I didn't play it very much. Normally, I'm someone who plays handheld systems on the train, but in full lockdown, I didn't really get a chance. Or I didn't really get that chance. However, even though it's still dangerous, duty calls, and I have been riding the subway for about 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, for a day-to-day job that I couldn't pass up. I devoured Spyro the Dragon and Resident Evil 4, and I'm looking forward to taking on Bioshock, Borderlands, Doom 3, No More Heroes, and a ton of others, nearly all of which are ports of games I've already played over the years on my television. My question is, what are some Switch ports you want to see in the future? We're talking Switch here, not the imaginary Switch Pro, which effectively doesn't exist yet. So games that could conceivably run on Switch with varying degrees of compromise or even enhancement. I'd love to play games like GTA 4 or 5, the PS3 era Call of Duty games, Fallout 3, New Vegas, and the Dead Island games while riding on the A train. I will also throw in there, don't forget cloud gaming. My little loophole that
right. Did they say platforms for that Mass Effect trilogy? Because that would be a good one.
Oh,
I
I hadn't even thought of that.
don't know, but I can look it up. Legendary Edition, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is, according to their own site, EA. I don't see logos for it, so go ahead and start answering, and I'll look it up.
Well, Dark Souls Remastered is on there, so
Do
like-
the other ones.
do the other ones. And hell, throw Bloodborne on there while you're at it.
Yo.
Get the license from Sony. Easy
What
peasy.
about Sekiro?
And Sekiro, maybe that might not run well, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean let's get a real Final Fantasy anthology, you know? Like,
Which ones?
and like make sure that they actually look like they should look, not like, garbage phone ports. Yeah, I think considering the Square tax and that they're not going to like let them go cheaply, I think we should at least get a collection that has 1 through 6.
Ooh.
And then maybe we could get like a second collection that probably costs just as much, that has like 7 through 9. Although those guys are already on there, aren't they?
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
you already got
7
and
you got
8 are
7,
there.
8 remastered. You got 9
Is 9 on
OG. You got OG 9 on there. Yes.
Oh,
You
okay.
got
Yeah.
10, 10-2 HD on there. You have 12 the Zodiac Age on there.
You know what
Yeah, so
don't
we
have
need
on
to
here?
complete it. Complete the Final Fantasies. Whatever's missing out of those numbered games, just bring it to
9,
Switch.
1 through
'cause-
6.
Numbered
because-
games.
Oh,
What
I
about
know, I
Final
know where you're going.
Fantasy Tactics,
Yeah.
baby?
There you go.
That's my number 1 on Switch. Put that on Switch. And Parasite Eve and Dino Crisis.
Get Down Crisis on there.
Chuck 'em all
Legendary
on there,
Edition
baby.
is only announced for Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One as of now.
What's a PlayStation 4?
I don't know. And I don't know what's an Xbox One. Where's the S?
I don't
Oh,
know what those are.
Where's the,
I don't
I
know.
got
where's the
one.
X? What do you got, bud?
Rare Replay, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft's all chummy.
Yeah.
Rare's good old friends with Nintendo. Lots of actual Nintendo titles in that collection.
That is a good call, yeah.
Ooh,
There's not much reason most of those games wouldn't play on that.
for sure.
So
I do.
While we're at it, put all the Sonics on there.
Well, they have a Sonic Ages on there or something. I think.
yeah, they do have
There's
a
something
few of
on
them.
there,
Quite a
yeah.
few of them.
Really?
I don't know.
Like 1 and 2 and 3?
Pretty sure, yes. So-
Not 1 or 2 or 3, but 4. 4 Sonics.
Sonic Ages or something, or Sonic.
Well, if it's already on there, then
Switch, yeah, it's like something on here, right? Sega Ages, Sonic the Hedgehog is on there. Sorry, so 1 is on there, and then there's Sonic Mania. So, and then there's
Got it,
Sega
yep.
Genesis Classics for Switch as well.
oh,
So there's some of the.
well, all right then. Never mind.
Yeah. When you say Final Fantasy Blood, 13, the 13 trilogy is not on Switch yet. It seems
Oh, okay.
obvious.
So we've got a gap, and then we got the MMOs that aren't there.
Yeah, the MMOs will never come to Switch, but
Yeah.
They did 15 Pocket Edition. I would not be surprised to see a cloud version of Final Fantasy VII Remake come to Switch. Because cloud, yeah.
Cloud.
Just can't resist passing up that opportunity. What else was I gonna say? There was one I had in the back of my head that I was just thinking that was going to be my main one before I thought of that one. But also, like as I think of cloud, but Rare Replay, real quick to say something about that. I think it would make really great. It'd be a really great addition to the Switch. Though Spencer did warn that they don't want to pass across a line where consumers are simply just asking, when's an Xbox game just gonna simply appear on Switch? They don't want to get to that point. They want consumers to still be buying stuff on their platforms first and foremost, and then they catch everyone else in that net of, oh, it also comes to Switch later. They don't want people actively thinking that's
Yeah, but Rare Replay is like 5-6 years ago almost now.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's fair
old, yeah.
game for that one for sure. But any of the new some of the newer games that came out this year that I'm thinking of,
Potentially better N64 emulators than Nintendo has.
Ooh.
I'd be curious to see what a side-by-side is from some experts on those, because they put a lot of work in emulating those N64 games for that collection.
Yeah, we joked about Cyberpunk. Getting a cloud version of that would be interesting. There's still a bunch of Resident Evil games that aren't on there as well that I think should be added to it. Whether there could be physical releases or if you get into RE2 remake, RE3 remake, like we talked about. RE3 remake probably is already getting a cloud version, but RE7, permanently adding RE7 back on, for outside of Japan. Assassin's Creed game
Was the Castlevania Requiem collection, that wasn't on Switch, right? That was just PlayStation.
the one that has
It's on a few different
Symphony of
things.
the
I don't
Night.
The one that's got Rondo and Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, Symphony of the Night. It's not on Switch.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Just putting.
It's on phone, for God's sake.
Put Symphony of the Night on
Right.
Switch, please. Just put Symphony.
know. Well, another thing too, I checked out that TurboGrafx 16 Mini earlier this year. It'd be interesting if something like that they're not going to manufacture forever became a digital version eventually.
Yeah.
I know
Not sure what kind of barriers get in the way of that, but it would be cool.
Persona 5 needs to come to Switch. Atlas made this whole big deal earlier this year about people show enough support, they won't rule out the possibility of porting Persona 5 over. We got Persona 5 Royal. oop, not coming to Switch. Sorry. We know a lot of people want to play it on there, but you know what? Haven't done it yet. So I think that one needs to happen.
Well, and 4 Golden was such a perfect fit for the Vita. So 5 Royal would be so good on Switch.
Yeah. Any of the Yakuza games on Switch?
No, that's. Have you seen that quote that's been going around?
Oh yeah,
Yoshi been calling Switch a kiddie system.
They don't have the final say on where the games come though, but that was an interesting. Yeah.
The man who put Monkey Ball on GameCube, throwing shade at Nintendo.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. People are hoping that was going to come. I know Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Oh sure.
Crash Bandicoot 4 is definitely one that should come to Switch as well at some point, hopefully. Yeah.
I mean, my philosophy is put everything on Switch.
Yeah.
Literally everything. Even if it runs hilariously poorly, throw it on the Switch. What could go wrong? What's wrong with it? Just do it. Go for it. Live a little.
All right. I think that is going to do it for this episode of Friend Code. That is our 2020 year in review. Thank you, both of you, for joining me. Thank you to our $5 patrons for submitting your questions for consideration for episodes of Friend Code. If you'd like to submit questions for future episodes, you just gotta be a $5 patron. Also, as a $5 patron, you're part of our as a $5 patron, you're part of our early access tier, where you get episodes of some of our shows and podcasts a little bit early before they go public on YouTube. So thank you to all of our patrons who support us. For everyone else watching it on YouTube right now publicly, thank you for just watching your show and showing your support in that way. We have some shout outs for the month of December 2020. And I'll remind you both, it's been a while. On Friend Code, I just say the names, and at the end, we just say shout out together. No in cadence or anything like that. Just say shout
cascade.
out, however you want to do it. No cascade, sorry. And for December, our shout outs are for El Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, Nick, Stephen Thomason, and Jesse Blue. Shout out.
Shout out.
Thank you.
Big crew this time.
Yeah.
Love it.
Large crew. A large shout out
Thank
crew.
you.
But yeah, thank you so much for taking so much of your time out today for a little bit of a longer episode, just a little bit around 2-hour mark here, a little bit on the long end. But we had a lot, I'm surprised, we had a lot to talk about, and I think we got it done in a decent amount of time. And I had a lot of fun going down memory lane with both of you. Not all of it pleasant, obviously, in 2020, but some good highlights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, with all this stuff getting pushed, I feel like there's gonna be like this flood, right? Like Nintendo's got all this stuff bunched up, and like either 2021 or 2022, it's just gonna be like we can't stop. There's just crazy Nintendo games coming out constantly.
I like that. It was like they can't stop. Yeah. Every month, we're sorry.
One can only hope.
We got too many games. You're just gonna have to like it. Video games. But yeah, we will hopefully be back. And we got the Game Awards coming up. So let me give you a quick update real quick before you start here. Sorry, what, bud?
Oh, what?
Oh, sorry, I thought you had something to say. Just one quick note for logistics here. The next episode of Friend Code will actually be a Love and Respect episode because it's going to be landing the week of Christmas. So we're not going to record a regular episode that week. The episode after that will be our look at 2021 episode, which is all the stuff Bloodborne was just alluding to, might actually be in that episode. So that episode might be the ridiculous episode in the end. So we'll have to see. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, thank you all of you. Stay safe. Enjoy your holidays, whatever you will be doing. And until next time, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.